Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Master of Punk's Tamer Sages, the king of the ring himself. But your boy Thicky Smalls, Gerard Michaels, in the house. Well done. You handled well.
Close your eyes.
Yeah, Gerard's gonna have to use that if he's breathing like he was on the last
Thanks,
one.
hey, dude, legit. Thanks for letting me know. I can't
Yeah, you
hear
sounded like Darth Vader.
Yo, welcome back, Friday Gas Digital. It's your boy, Gerard Michaels, Thicky Smalls here on this wonderful Friday. And across from me, as always, at 6'3", gotta be 220 vascular pounds right now. Every one of it is a problem.
At this point, yeah. At this point of the day, yeah, I'm about 220. That's right.
It's the CEO of the
Waking up
RNC,
like 205.
the master of punks, the tamer of sages, the king of the ring himself, Slick Mick the ruler, Mickey Gall, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what up, Big G?
How we doing this Friday?
Doing pretty freaking good, bro. Pretty good. I'm pretty good because we're joined by some ballers up in here. We got, to my right, we got Mike Constantino. And directly across from me, we got Tommy G, the boys of Stay Cashin'.
We got some
Stay
Italian
Cashin'.
friends of the program. We
That's
got some
right.
friends of the program in here today.
That's right. Yeah, Mike's a longtime friend of mine. Mike's a guy who owned AMA Fight Club, where I cut my teeth training with a whole bunch of studs, whole bunch of UFC fighters.
That was Jim Miller.
Jim Miller, Dan Miller, yeah, Charlie Brenneman. The list goes on and on. I watched Jim Miller put it on Khabib back in the day at
Whoa.
AMA Fight Club. Yeah.
Yeah.
That Mike was
Training
Mike.
room talk.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Mike was Khabib's
Unwritten rule.
first.
Unwritten rule.
You were Khabib's first manager, right?
Yeah, when Khabib first came to the country, I was partnered with the K Dojo team, and actually I signed Khabib and Adlan Amagov both to the
Fucking
UFC
savage.
at the same
Adlan
time.
Amagov.
And Khabib mentioned you in his retirement speech. You should say that. You got to tout yourself a little
That was very
bit,
nice
Mike.
of him, honestly, because when we first started with him, nobody knew who he was, and then became arguably one of the greatest, the greatest fighter, arguably, in the history of the sport. And it was kind enough because we lost touch. I managed him in the beginning, and then cornered him in his first 4, possibly 5. I think it was 4 fights in the UFC, and then we went different ways, but and didn't speak other than some quick messages, on Facebook, and then he retired after an illustrious career, and was nice enough to remember and thank me, my entire team, my partner at the time, and the management company, and it was a very honorable thing to do, and I was much appreciative of that. That was very nice.
it's
It shows
classy
his
move.
character, that
Yeah.
he said that.
Shows he has low taste in friends, too.
Did you know right away that Khabib was going to be a problem?
Anybody with 2 ears will tell you. When I laugh about this, my hairdresser. I laugh because she was Russian, the one woman, and I would always say he'd be champ, but everybody. My father was very involved with the fight team as well. Was
Papa
watching
Vin.
practices and knew all the fighters, and he was a football coach at North Bergen High School and Clifton High School, and had an eye for talent as a coach, and he used to pick out like Charlie Brenneman. Mickey was one of them, and Khabib, and you could just look at somebody and tell that they're going to be champion, but Khabib was like extra special. Like I was able to tell immediately the first fight I cornered him, and then ironically, very early in his career, he set the UFC takedown record.
Yeah, like wrestling a bear as a
in a
child
fight.
special.
Yeah, I mean that's
That'll get you
real.
ready.
I mean the funny part is that's real. I mean it's amazing. It's a different world.
And we're recording here in Greenwich Village. People wrestle bears every day. It's not that big a deal, really. I mean, it's...
You guys had a fucking ninja show going on outside.
Well, her name's Lily. I mean, come on.
They had an ice pick. They had a knife.
I didn't see anything.
You didn't see what's
I
going
must
on?
have been in the bathroom.
Gerard's
Yeah.
like flipping knives and
I'm
ice
just-
picks.
Oh no, I didn't see it.
Yeah, so Lily is great. And people that
Me and
don't-
Mike were having an intellectual conversation.
guys were.
I think.
So-
And
so-
they were fucking doing
Yeah,
a
this
circus
side of the
show.
table won't
Yes.
be doing that.
Circus show over there.
Lily is a fantastic person here at Gas. Very beautiful little girl. And she's showing the arsenal of things she needs to do to get here to work every day on New York City public transportation. She's got not one but 2 ice picks. She has
A baton.
she has a baton.
She was flipping them, too.
Yeah.
She's
She could twirl him.
She's
impressive.
Is she the one that trained at Henzo's? She was saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
She has a Velociraptor hidden knife. Yeah, she's got,
right.
and I just turned to her. I was like, wow, this is very impressive. But have you ever considered not living somewhere
That's why you
where
left.
you need all of that to get
No,
to
the
work
answer's
every day?
no, right? Yeah, the answer's no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so. Yeah.
I can't wait to talk weaponry with her when we get out of here. I got a knife. I mean, I'm a weapons guy.
Is that amazing? You can have all of that in New York, but you can't have like a 32.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about that riding the subway over here. I was telling them the story about the the
Oof,
Marine
y'all took the subway?
that
No,
choked
no,
a guy to death
no,
recently. You
never.
read that story, obviously.
Of course.
And the thing that I said to Tommy, I mean, it's crazy is that by law, he's liable for taking the man's life because he held the choke too long, technically. But at the end of the day, the guy was a threatening menace, and the Marine restrained him. But it's such a gray line of not knowing to stop and then causing it versus not. And I told him his defense fund filled up in like 2 minutes, over $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
My Uncle
everybody
Freddie
donated.
donated.
Rather those guys, step in and be there than not be there in society.
Correct, yeah.
It's a real gray line.
It really is. Hey, listen, the politicians can't have it both ways. They can't defund the police and then tell people if you defend yourself, you're gonna go away. You can't have it both ways. And I feel really bad that it came to that, but it was unfortunately an inevitability with the way that they've allowed the subway in particular. And if anybody's ever missed a train late night at Penn Station and you've had to stay there till 4 o'clock in the morning, that's as close to a third world country as you're going to get. That's as close to a third world country experience as you're going to get in America, is that those 3 hours in Penn Station waiting for the New Jersey Transit to light back up.
Push on the tracks. You got to be aware at all times.
Yeah, it's it's a self-defense type of a situation. I like in Florida they have something called castle doctrine. You guys familiar with castle doctrine?
I know it's got stand your ground, but what is castle
So
doctrine?
castle doctrine,
Defending your home, I
it's
think.
it's my it's not just that, it's my ground.
Okay.
The ground I'm entitled to the ground I'm standing on. So if I say, hey, if you take another, I don't need you to engage. There's this
Is there
idea.
a foot, like a certain
There's
distance?
no, it's I gotta give
Property
you I
rule.
gotta give you a warning. I
Yeah.
gotta say if you take another step towards me, I'm gonna take it as a threat against my life. And if they take that step, you're in the clear as far as defending yourself is concerned.
You know what I'd like to do? A breakout segment where we use Tommy as like a bait.
No,
dog
let's not
and
do
we
that.
Put him on public
Yeah,
transportation.
maybe we don't do
with-
that.
With no weaponry
I
and,
like it.
and no cell
That's fine.
I
phones.
do like
Yeah,
that.
maybe-
We should do
maybe
it.
let's
Put
not
little
like that.
cameras and see what happens.
Or
Yes.
consider not. No.
Let's see what
Yes.
happens.
So does everyone think you're
Put
the
him in a
UFC
dress.
fighter?
Oh, it's funny. It's very funny. Every time we go somewhere,
Because he's so
especially-
pretty and you look intimidating.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was the nicest way anybody's
Well,
ever
I
called
said
me ugly. What the fuck?
No, you're beautiful.
It's you're lucky I'm a sapiosexual. So the
You're very brave, G. You're a brave soul.
I'm stunning. I'm stunning and brave. But yeah, so we get this all the time, especially like if I powerlift and I got a good pump going, we'll go out and like get some food after.
If I got a good pump going,
people are
this
like-
fucking guy.
People are like,
What a
wow,
meathead.
I wouldn't want to see you in a dark alley. And I'm sitting there looking at Mickey like, man, I'm not the dangerous one at this table.
And the irony too is the dangerous one comes out to, "Oh, Mickey, you're so fine." Like, it's a lot of twisted irony.
Yeah,
going
I
on
gotta-
there.
Let's maybe talk about that.
gotta
Let's-
keep it
I
on
love
the-
it though.
on the
I love it.
toes.
I'm a huge fan, like Rogan.
Oh,
I'm a
Joe
huge
Rogan
fan.
might be too big of a fan of that.
But
He
it's
was-
such a great walkout. And when you hear so many of them over time, there's certain ones that ring out. Another one, local too, that fought for me at Cage Fury was Bill Algeo. Mr. Bill or whatever the song was that he came out to.
I don't
It was
know
a-
his
it was like an
walkout,
older
but I
one where
like-
he
I like
snapped
Bill a
fingers.
lot.
It was awesome. It was like
Yeah.
a really cool walkout, but a lot of them stick with you.
I
That's a
wanted
guy
to
I
go back
always
to
root for too, Algio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's
I wanted to
stud.
go back to you want to talk about. You hate his workout song from what you just said there, huh?
Oh, I think it's great. But
a little fruity?
No, but then he gets into the Sopranos afterwards.
I love it.
It's
I
supposed to
think
be a
it's
little
great.
fruity.
It's
I think it's great.
good. You
Yeah,
gotta-
it's funny.
He's a sex symbol. You got to run with it.
I just have a lot of fun with the idea of like, make it like a WWF type of thing. I want to come out like the valet. I want to be like his Paul Heyman.
That'd
just
be
like
great,
coming out
yeah.
talking all
Yeah,
this
yeah.
shit. He gets out there. He's thinking about a real fight. I walk across the mat to somebody who could twist me like a pretzel and be like, he's going to fuck you up, buddy.
Just go to the fighter hotel, throughout the week leading
yeah.
up to the fight, and you could, fulfill your wish.
That's it.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I'm gonna have him rolling around like a shit talking security up in here, like the opposite of what a security should be. Just
Hey, I got a
fucking-
cage in my gym too. So if you guys want to come in, really
Mickey
settle
rising
this.
out of a coffin.
I like it. I love listening to an Italian guy who manages fighters talking about cages in his basement. This is a real throwback. This is a real throwback.
I
know
gave
what's
him a
funny?
history on the neighborhood coming down Bleecker Street. I was telling him
You
about
gotta see this fucking guy
Sullivan
drive.
Street within the chin, and I was telling him like what used to go on in these neighborhoods, and he's
Giganti.
ignoring me like always.
Yeah.
Did you tell him how you drive? Have you ever driven with him?
No.
Oh my God.
I think I'm a good driver, but
You're the worst
Tommy
driver.
thinks I'm not.
He's the
Why?
worst driver.
We fight
Why do you-
every
Were we
time
not
I
driving
say-
on the wrong side of the road on the way here?
I did get on the wrong side of the road when we.
Whoa,
when
whoa,
we-
On
whoa.
purpose?
Hey,
That's from the ladies.
where did we get some
Little-
lipstick
what the hell's
on
this?
here?
Yeah, little kiss
We're
from the
hiding,
ladies.
we're hiding some lipstick.
I picked him
They
up.
can't
He
stay
got
off
he
it.
got home like probably at like 7:30 this morning. I told him I'm coming at 1.
that's why I got the bags
what
under my
day?
eyes.
And I'm like in a
fucking-
couple
yeah.
days.
Doing blow off a hooker's ass last time.
Well, this is
Yeah.
recorded because you do have a face for radio, but I
Yeah, I
think
do.
you're going to be
I have a-
pictured here. So
You said you missed your line. The great personality line.
which one?
You said you
My
have a
beach
face that
body
makes
line?
you look like you have a great
My friend
personality.
told me
You
my
guys were
beach
running
body
lines
looked
on the
like-
way in here. What's going on here?
My friend told
Okay,
me
so
my
let's
beach
fly.
body looked like I had a good personality.
So when one of them asks
Say-
this question,
say
this
in
is
there.
what we're gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the beach body, and then you jump in.
You don't-
Actually,
you
it's
don't-
funny.
you don't wanna
With
know what he says.
before we were talking about the walkout song, I was gonna say. So when I first did that, Dana White put the kibosh on it.
Why?
It's actually on like the UFC embedded. He was like I don't know why he called me and was like hey man, you're like a tough kid from Jersey, like
So you
I'd
didn't
like
think
you
it
to
was on
pick
brand?
I'd like you to pick a different song for
No
the walkout.
fighter of mine is coming out to that trash.
Yeah,
He does
fucking
That's the
yeah.
thing about Dana too. He meticulously manages down to that. It happened to Dan Miller one time.
Asked him to change his song?
They wouldn't allow it. Yeah, he had to change his song.
Well, so that's what I thought, and I didn't care. It was when I was about to fight CM Punk, and I didn't really care. I was like, all right, man, whatever. You're the boss. That's what you say. I don't give a shit about what I walk out to. But people ripped him apart online. So he comes up to me at the weigh-ins. He goes, bro, I'm getting fucking abused online for saying you can't keep the song. I was like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. It was a good pick. He doesn't say anything. I start walking out for the fight. They're like, Mickey, you're up. So I start walking out. And they play "Oh Mickey, You're So Fine," and I had
jack
no
you up
clue.
a
And
little
even,
bit?
yeah, you can even see people being like, "I thought that you weren't allowed to play this." I was like, "Me too." Like talking to like the staff.
Too much backlash?
As we were going.
Are you gonna keep the old version? Because the new remix kind of slaps, man.
I'm keeping it old school, bro. The
Old
OG
school?
version, of
Okay.
course, of
I
course.
Yeah, a
of
remix
course.
of that song. Actually, it's so
never
nice they
heard
did
it?
it
Yeah,
twice.
they did. Oh, yeah.
Oh snap!
I just listened to the
If
old
we had
original.
if we had two producers on this show, they could probably pull it up. But since we don't,
Good fucking luck. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
shit. Well, it's funny he says that, and then Mike Perry after your fight comes out. He's supposed to come out to the Halo music, and they played
Halo.
They played Halo by
And he
what?
sang,
Beyonce-
he knew every
Beyonce,
word.
yeah.
He killed it, didn't he? It was awesome.
Yeah.
The Mike
Great
Perry
line.
thing. I got a funny Mike Perry story for you, too. So a friend of mine, Mitchell Shamale, owns Combat Nights down in Orlando, Florida area. And I went to one of his fights, and Mike Perry was in the crowd, who's a Florida kid. And I love, the relationship with fighters, but I always liked the bad guy, too, like growing up, like the tough kid and blah, blah. And Mike Perry just reminded me of, like, my toughest friends growing up with, like, my best UFC fighters. And I remember when Mitchell introduced us, I was like, hey, what's up, man? Blah, blah. And I'm telling him, like, about my background. And he was just, like looking at me, and I'm thinking, like, this kid's going to, like, sneak me or something. Like, it was, like, a weird reaction, but, like, he has that dangerous feel and personality.
Yeah, for people that didn't grow up in Jersey, New York, sneak you is terminology for like sneak attack, hit you, just smoke you
Yeah,
from out of
surprise.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, catch him on the sneak tip, as some would say. That's an old school term right there.
Is it
man.
really?
I like
It's
that.
gone? It's dead?
Kids don't sneak each other anymore. They snipe each other on Call of Duty. Yeah, that's all.
I told Tommy on the way in what
They're
Riz meant.
campers.
Here's a
Riz?
I
follow
told him
this
on the
shit,
way in
dude.
what
I
Riz
don't-
was.
Tommy, you look
Why
like
don't
the
you
type of
still
guy
don't know
that's-
what it is?
You look like the type of guy that's got some
Riz
serious
is like
riz.
game, man. It's like having
I
game.
thought you were gonna say problems.
He told it to me already. Riz? What?
Riz, yeah,
So
that's
it's a
like having.
compliment.
It's like having game. Yeah.
Oh, he's usually
It's short
insulting
for
me.
charisma.
Okay.
You got Riz.
You think I do?
Is that
I
where
didn't
it
know.
comes
I did
from?
not
Yeah,
know
it
it was
comes
from
from-
You didn't even
charisma. I didn't know that. I
You
didn't
should
know it
bring me
came
on
from
more
that.
times.
Oh,
Shit, we
Jesus.
need Mike to give us the fucking
Wow.
words
Like
the kids
the
are using.
TikTok guy.
Charisma.
Yeah, you got Riz.
Ah.
Wow. Did one of the kids you lock in the basement?
No, there's no kids locked in the basement. But no, I'm on top of like
One of the
they make
Dagestanis
fun
you
of
have
See him trying to
growing in your
pivot. Don't let
basement.
him pivot when he does it. He'll run you off. And
Good
steer.
politician.
I'm answering
Stay
your
on him.
question rightfully.
No, you were trying to pivot off. You
I'm
heard kids
around
in the
a lot
basement
of
you
young
didn't want to hear.
people. I'm a hip. I'm
Like the
hip
kids
to
I
the-
told you were
guy.
hidden under the basement in New York.
All my friends look at me like I'm nuts when I say these things.
So you were running
No
fight-
cap.
That's just fire.
Tommy's laughing because he doesn't know what that is either.
Dude, I don't follow this shit. I'm an adult.
Where does no cap come from?
Well, a capped tooth is a fake thing or a veneer where they put the diamond on
What
the
are you writing Urban Dictionary?
I mean,
over
how-
here?
how
do you
I-
know?
bro,
all
you're
this
almost
shit?
50. What
This
are
is
you
I pride
impressive.
myself on being the trivia champion in our
Yes,
company.
but this is like-
but I'm
this is like
also,
gay
I've been
TikTok
termed
shit.
the king of useless information.
Are you a tween?
No, but I can
Wow.
answer those questions.
This is weird, bro. I don't even know if we can be friends.
No cap comes from a cap.
This
tooth.
is
No
strange. I
cap.
don't even
No
know
cap.
you.
It's real.
Hello, fellow
Wow.
kids.
Wow.
Put that shit on the internet.
Wow.
Damn, Mike's
Damn.
spitting over here.
He's fire right
Shit.
now.
Mickey brought some,
Damn.
Ready
some
to
knowledge.
Picking
there.
up
Yeah.
19-year-olds on the talk or something?
Wow. I'm just, I'm
Wow.
hip.
I love it.
Yeah, this is after you get the 21-year-olds on the boat. You got to learn all the lingo. Is that the idea?
This is more like we went to the Shore House, New Jersey guy, and we got back at the end of the night and we're hanging out.
I wish I could describe what a shore house is like to people that have never been to the Jersey Shore. What it's like to have 9 people in a 3-bedroom in
Yep.
Belmar.
Because they watch the show that's on, which is trash. They're fucking nerds.
I
You don't like the Jersey
No,
Shore
I
show?
hate it.
You
I hate
hate
it.
them all?
I hate 'em
Even
all.
DJ Pauly D?
He's a clown.
can't hate DJ.
Yeah,
Come on,
listen,
man.
he's cool comparatively to everyone else. So if you look at everyone else, it's like the hottest fat chick, right? Like
Hey.
if you stand next to the right people, I think he
So
was
fuck
cool.
you point at me for?
And that show turned him kind of cringe.
Yeah?
Yeah,
That's an
it's-
interesting take, man.
I don't know. You're probably best friends with him, and I just fucked that up.
No, I don't know the gentleman.
All right, good.
I wish.
Good.
I
No,
wish. I fucking
I mean,
yeah.
I'd hang
I-
out with him. He probably gets more pussy than anyone in the world, but
He seems like he's got a good life. I love the Jersey Shore show.
I hated it.
I love that shit.
I loved it too. I didn't
It was
know.
great.
It's a bunch of
Because
It's
it's just-
fucking hilarious.
For me, it was after my time, and I saw things that reminded me of certain
Do
things.
you think
we
those
didn't have
guys-
karma, we had temps.
Do you
know what I
think
mean?
those
But-
kids ever get laid without that show?
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Regularly?
Yeah, of course.
No.
Ronnie was in shape. I mean, you look like the situation. So
Yeah, I mean,
you get none.
they were nerds.
But,
They were nerds.
Paulie D, I'm sure had no problem in the ladies' department.
Watch episode
G
1.
said that Ronnie comes just about up to his waist. Height,
Oh, yeah?
height
Little
wise.
guy,
Yeah?
little guy. Nice guy, but little guy.
No, I never met him.
Yeah, there was we were at Headliner one night. I was still playing ball back then, and I knew something weird had happened because I started getting text messages from ex-teammates from all over the country at the same time, and it was all basically the same text, like "cool fucking state you got there, bro." And I'm like, "What are you guys even talking about?" And the show comes out.
Oh, when it first came out.
And now I'm like on like DEFCON trying to defend like none of those people are from Jersey.
Right.
All right, no, those are the
Yeah.
people. These are the people we get into fights with when we go down the shore. And
Fucking Benny's.
yeah, and also, why the fuck are you watching MTV?
Even
You're
though
like
we're
30.
Benny's too, technically.
I'm totally a
We're all
Benny's. So are you.
Benny's.
That's
Yeah.
probably why
By
I hate it.
definition, yeah.
Because I moved out to California for 5 years, and I didn't watch this Jersey Shore. So when I went out there, everyone thought that's who we are.
Oh, yeah, for
So I
sure.
started hating it
You
and
got
hating them. So
mislabeled
that's probably
bad.
why.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that was my first exposure. So I had to tell everyone that's not fucking us, dude. That's Staten Island.
Well,
Those
plus
people aren't
at the
us.
time, I hadn't been in entertainment yet, so I I was completely naive to everything. And the girl I was with really wanted to go to Headliner one night, and that's a tourist trap.
Yeah.
We lived in Long Branch. I'm like, we are not going to Headliner. What the fuck? She's like, we have to go. Like all my friends are going. I'm like, all right, let's go to Headliner. The Jersey Shore was filming there. For some reason, she was a simp. She wanted to see these
Get
guys.
on camera.
And they're all bored. They're all in the corner doing nothing. There's nothing going on. And then this dude is drunk as hell, starts fighting with one of the bartenders. You guys ever been to Headliner? Bartenders just smoke. And the bartender, gives him shit and tells one of the bouncers to get him out of here. And the guy has to get dragged out. The producers run out, go get this drunk dude, pull him back in,
TV.
and they redo the whole thing. Only this guy's not yelling at the bartender; he's yelling at the situation.
So they planted him
And
in.
the situation's like, "What's up, bro? We want to do this." And then the bouncers carry this guy back outside, drunk as hell. He probably has no idea what's going on. And at that moment, it was like seeing the Wizard. I was like, "Oh, all television's garbage."
I changed my vote. Know who the coolest guy on Jersey Shore is?
Don't say Vinny.
Roger.
Oh yeah, Roger's cool.
Roger.
Who was that? The
Frank
Roger.
Edgar's friend.
We're actually
married
going. We're
Jay
going.
Wow.
We're going to do a little joint podcast with them tomorrow night down in
crossover?
Thomas River.
That's a
Little
crossover app?
crossover cast. But yeah, he was the fucking. That motherfucker was like running the fucking Jersey Shore.
Oh, the big
you know what I
dude?
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jay
yeah, he was
Wow's-
cool. Yeah, he was the one that was cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
cool.
cool.
He was probably the coolest one. Yeah,
I thought JWoww was hot. I thought Sammy was hot. Like
Sixes.
what? Sixes?
Sammy's hot. Gee,
I thought Sammy was the best one.
Yes, the best because she's like the hottest fat chick. So if you walk in with Sammy, right?
I think you're hating right now.
Gee,
Bro.
you were a basal player. You're a
Maybe
professional
he got
baseball
cut from
player.
the. He was on a reality show. He was on Shipmates.
I
Oh,
started.
that's what it
reality.
is.
Yeah, so he's
That's
jealous
what
of
it
Jersey
is.
Shore.
That's what it is.
He was on a reality show, so he's trying to say like,
Yeah.
Jersey Shore.
First of all-
he was the original.
First of all,
Shipmates.
I
Go
first of all,
ahead.
first of
There's
all,
footage online.
I started reality TV, but
Then you move to
dude,
radio.
if G walks in with Sammy, am I gonna go, holy fuck? Did you see his girl? No, I'm gonna be like, oh, it's a good hit, right?
You know what this is?
It's a good hit.
This
She's
is
7.
he's got a point.
This
She's
is-
7.
this is
Mickey
because-
could get 1,000 girls better than Sammy.
out of
point.
normal, yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it
but
depends. It really depends, right? Like, I got to tell you, before I started traveling the country, I thought that was pretty freaking good right there. Then you get to South
go to
Florida,
California,
a little bit.
with
You get to-
Arizona.
there's levels to this stuff,
Right.
Papa.
she's attractive.
32 flavors.
32 flavors. I mean, down in Tampa, forget it. You got the half Cuban, half Greek thing out
Yeah,
there.
it's
Like,
over.
oh,
Yeah,
forget it.
Colombian girls and shit. It's
Colombian
Colombia is
girls.
the
Are you guys
secret
familiar
shop.
with Passport Bros? You familiar with the whole Passport Bros analogy? I'll tell them about Passport Bros.
I'll tell them about Passport Bros. All right. Passport
It's
Bros.
like you just pushed this on you, whatever it is.
Passport Bros is when guys are like they're fed up with like the girls in America, like they're fed up with their attitudes or whatever the fuck, or maybe they got no riz. You know what I mean? And
I'm
they
learning. I'm taking
fly
notes.
to places like Colombia or Brazil or like these other places and go get themselves a little Colombiana
$200,
girlfriend
you can
or
get an
something.
11 out there. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that,
Mickey's
right?
going to
Did I,
Colombia
did I-
soon.
did I say that correctly?
That's exactly
That's
what it
what
is.
it is? That's
Yeah,
right.
it's-
Okay, passport.
Yeah, and the idea is like they go down to actually like date these girls down
Oh,
there
wow.
because
Like
really,
mail order bride without
Looking
the
for
bride.
love?
It's it's like a looking for love thing, but they like the traditional nature.
Yeah, they're
of
more
it.
like
Yeah.
you know what I mean. They're
Okay.
not like these like they say like these masculine girls.
You're not ordering
who
a
are, like-
prostitute, basically.
No,
You're just-
they're actually trying to
Yeah.
like date and
Yeah.
stuff.
But also at the same time, while they're not ordering a prostitute, going to a place that like you could buy the whole town
For, like,
with
what's
like
it,
a
a pocket?
$30,000 a year salary. It's kind of a different. There might be a situation where they are trying to use a little bit of leverage in their game.
I saw
there,
some of
yeah.
that
Aren't
on
we
like
all?
TikTok or Instagram. You see people that move.
Is
from
that where you
America
learned
down
your
there.
terms?
Yeah.
What's
Is that where you learned your terms? The talk?
I'm everywhere, buddy. I'm
Where do you
very-
get them
I'm
though?
very
Where do you
well-versed.
get them? Like, because I know you, and I don't know how you know this.
Undisclosed places. Otherwise, you'd know them too. So,
Like where the tunnels
can't
under
tell.
New York?
So you said Mickey's going down to Colombia then, huh?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
actually just moved the date of the show. So we
South Carolina?
I partnered in
Columbia,
MMA
South
league.
Carolina?
No. He's going to Medellin.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta
Show
get
just
the
got
hey.
moved.
I'm
We need
coming
the
there.
trumpets. Let's get the trumpets
You
up
got
here.
Medellin?
Brum, bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
Medellin.
Is that a real
So
thing?
when are we
You're
moving
getting
the
trumpets?
dates?
Or
There's
can I
no
keep
trumpets.
talking?
No,
We think a fucking
I
band's
think-
walking?
Oh, you
Well,
got the button. They press the button and the fucking trumpets.
We're not
go.
that high tech of a show. We're not that.
Just
We
see
do
what
not
we
have a
started-
soundboard.
We started a fight league,
Yeah,
Empire MMA.
Oh, the marching band was
Yes,
walking in.
Go say it into the mic.
Oh, yeah.
So we give it a little shout out.
Empire MMA. My partner Hector Castro ran a couple shows down there. Oh, here they come! I told you had the trumpets.
Well, I didn't walk in the door. Is
He had to fucking Google it
Medellin.
for 5 minutes.
that the Yankee game?
I think it's a Mets guy, right?
I
Gee,
didn't-
quit, bro.
Oh, you're doing
right.
you're doing Edwin Diaz.
Quit it.
Yeah.
Timmy
Second
Trumpets.
producer job you're vying for.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Mickey's going to Medellin.
Where are the trumpets coming? How long is this?
Cue the trumpets.
Oh my gosh.
Underlay this over your Mickey, you're so fine.
Mickey's
We're
going to
editing this
Medellin
whole
with your
thing
voice.
out.
You know this song he's about to play was my intro
Timmy
on Sirius.
Trumpets, Tommy Trumpets.
Yeah.
Why is he not playing the trumpets? Come on, YouTube. Here it is, finally.
All right, so edit all of this out before until right now.
Yeah.
Now I fuck with it. Now
no,
I'm
this
in
is-
on
this
it.
is
it's
one
hot.
of the
Now I-
greatest
now it's hot.
entrances.
Now I
mean,
dig it.
So is he gonna play the trumpets
And
when
then
he
you
goes out
stop
there?
Mickey
That's
goes
gonna
to How
welcome
about
me.
Mickey goes to Medellin? Is it a porno?
hell yeah.
Is he really going to Brooklyn? Mickey
You
You
goes
should
to
come out to
Medellin.
this if you fight out there.
Let me ask a baseball player. Greatest entrance for a closer. Was it that? Trevor Hoffman,
it's that.
Mariano
It's
Rivera?
that.
I know we're probably partial there.
It's that.
It's Enter the Sandman. Mo comes out,
Yeah.
walks.
Yeah, but that's good though.
Listen,
The best like from a like entertainment standpoint was like Brian Wilson and the other guy, I forget his name. On,
Braves?
On, no, the
Trevor
A-
Hoffman, that was awesome,
He was
too.
great, but the dude on the A's for like 1 year where he was all like a juice monkey and he came out and he would bash his head and
Oh,
throw
wait, he drank the
water up.
energy drink
Yeah,
and
and
then
smash it and then
Yeah, I forget
sprint,
his name, but I
Literally,
remember that, yeah.
sprint out there, get there, and then just start
yeah,
pumping gas.
he would drink a Red Bull and then smash it on his
Yeah.
head.
It was that A's guy too.
That's right.
Is
that's
that
right.
him?
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Then there
I
was
can't think of
Brian
his name.
Wilson.
So,
was great.
I don't-
so
I
Mike,
know, I
why
have
am I
CT.
going to Medellin?
Okay, so
We didn't get to say
we
that
pivoted
trumpets.
when
get
we
a whole
got
bunch
Jimmy
of
Trumpets
fucking-
up, and then
Yeah,
Tommy
I
said he
feel
had it
like
on
this
his
guy
show.
was podcaster
It's like a whole
first, then
circle.
fighter.
Mickey's
Fucking
going
pro.
to Medellin. Now I'll tell why.
No, you got to do it with the
Yeah,
song under.
all right. Cough button. Cough
Yeah.
button.
Yeah, right.
All right, everybody get the cough button. We started an MMA league, Empire MMA. My partner's Hector Castro. He ran a couple of shows down there. He's currently an agent for some UFC fighters that are current. You know, a long time. You know, I've known him for 15 years. And he is Colombian, and he's partnered with some former UFC fighters down there, Freddie Serrano. MMA Colombia is a great gym at Medellin, and there's so much talent down
I'm
there.
unfamiliar with Colombian MMA fighters. Is it like an emerging market? or-
Yeah, well, that's the point. There's not many. You can probably count on one hand how many were in the UFC. And I was taken aback when I saw the talent level. You know, keep in mind, when I met Khabib, and then they said he's from Dagestan, I didn't know what it was or where it was. And then they're like, I'm like, is he Russian? Is he not? Like, I wasn't educated on it.
Sounds like it's from Game of Thrones.
And I bet you if you ask 100 people outside back then, where's Dagestan, they wouldn't have heard of it. But now if you ask multiple people, they know due to the influx of MMA. So it was like a Dagestani takeover. And I think that potential is there for Colombia. So we're going to go down there and develop fighters.
So when is the show? You said they're moving
this
the
show
date?
just got moved. I'm going to double check, but it's July 8th now.
July 8th.
Yeah, July 8th in Medellin. And Mickey is going to come down and commentate. We're going to have some seminars set up. Also, fighter advocacy, like teaching the fighters what they need to do. Like that Ryan Hall came down for the last fight, and Hector set up a couple things. And John Morgan, who did the commentating, pretty famous with the UFC, he's the one that asked all the questions and all the press conferences, and he's the editor-in-chief, formerly of MMA Junkie, now MMA.tv. And once people found out who he was, then the questions started, and it's a big learning process. But the talent is off the hook down there, male and female.
Do you have any concern with the gambling and the fact that there's cartels are still active down there? Is there any concern about entering into business? And
100%. It's funny you brought that up. That was my first question to Hector: is what if the other promotions? There's two main ones down there are backed by somebody, and you'd be lying if you said it wasn't a concern. I know it's not like what you see on television, but it is in certain areas.
Were you going to tell me that before you invited me down, or no?
Bait Dog. Remember the Bait Dog theory?
Yeah, I'm the guy that runs out in front.
That's a callback right there.
Bait Dog.
There you go.
Tommy, go down the corner and see what's going on.
just make sure it's good.
Yeah, I want Tommy in front of me and Gerard behind me. I'll be all right
Bait
down
Dog.
there.
Tommy's the Bait Dog.
Yeah, now I understand why.
But that's what I was afraid of more than somebody coming to rob you, was that, just being
Stepping on
backed.
someone's turf,
Yeah,
kind of.
100%.
Yeah.
So how do you
We'll find out
circumvent
after you
that
go
or make
in
sure?
July.
Yeah.
You and Tommy go.
I
You guys
think
let me
me
know.
and Gerard
Let
are
me
going in
know.
August.
I'll be
Yeah.
watching
All
the
right.
stream at home.
Yeah, we'll go in
No, I'm
August.
kidding.
There's worse ways to die. I gotta tell you, I'm all right with it. It should be a lot of fun. Medellin, man.
Yeah,
I
but
hear
Mickey, like I was
great
saying,
things.
he'll commentate, interview, seminars. It's going to be a great trip.
He doesn't
Yeah,
know
I'm
Spanish
excited.
though.
It's okay. He will.
Yeah. See, no.
He doesn't need to
No
with that
hablo.
smile. He just
No
smiles.
hablo. Yeah.
Guy gets knocked out. They just say it, and Mickey's just going, "No bueno."
I'm just excited for the blow. That's
No
it.
Yeah, I want to keep the big man away from that. I feel like anymore his heart's gonna fucking explode by the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
he's 40. You know
I
what
can't.
I mean?
I can't partake in the nose nachos anymore.
I'll do it for
man.
you.
Yeah,
We're
go
good.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's always good to have in a business partner. You want to make sure somebody's super good as far as energy is concerned. No jet lag.
Yeah.
So there's
He's
that.
pretty good at that, but also he just got blood work back, and surprisingly, nothing's wrong with
I
him.
passed
which blew
with a
my mind.
67.
Hey,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Because if you know
Yeah.
Tommy, he's up for
Shocking.
days,
Yeah.
out
Man,
for
did you-
weeks.
You don't get these
Mike,
bags
Mike,
for
you
nothing.
shouldn't, you
Just
shouldn't have
like-
brought that up in front of Gerard.
Yeah, he's,
All right, you're gonna make him
which
feel
part?
bad.
Why?
His blood work's got to be terrible.
Well, that's what I thought about him, and he was good. I was
Not even
shocked.
saying like it is. He's like, it's got to be.
No, it weren't
gotta be a
great.
disaster.
It weren't great.
Well,
It
you'd be
weren't great.
surprised. Yeah. His was.
Have you got it done?
Yeah, I got it done.
I thought they were going to tell me
Yeah,
I had
no.
500 things. I had nothing.
No, the doctor told me I had a lot of things wrong, but then I have such good riz that they just.
And you're beautiful.
Guys, we
You're a
can't
beautiful
overuse
man.
the term. They won't be cool anymore if we overuse the term.
I mean, we're going to overuse
This
it.
is slick and thick. Everything we do is cool, buddy.
You'll never hear me use it. Don't worry about
As he
it.
drinks the biggest energy drink available
It's
in a
water.
can. No, it's
Yeah. This one is.
Don't do it.
Mickey does Medellin. Starring Mickey
What is
Gall.
that? That's not
That's
water.
not the water. What is it?
What you got in
Yeah,
there?
you're drinking.
Oh, this?
Are they sponsoring us?
This is called Grim Leafer. It's an iced tea and agave vitamin mix by Liquid Death. Liquid Death. Even if your blood tests come back poorly, drink Liquid Death and you'll be fine.
You guys get along good. You're on
I
the same
grabbed it.
side
I
of the
don't.
table.
It's beautiful water. I like it.
Yeah, man. And
I
battle
thought it was
bars.
beer.
Liquid Death with a battle bar.
bars.
Battle
Battle
bars are
bars
so
are
good.
shit.
Have you ever had a
No,
battle bar?
no.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. You remember the Seinfeld episode back in the day where they're eating the fat-free yogurt and they're like, "This is amazing. You can have as much as you want. It's fat-free." And it turns out that it's not.
Yep.
That's why Mickey's like, these things are really good for you.
Get the camera on me over here.
I love Seinfeld.
Yeah, me too.
Seinfeld.
Battle bars.
That's right.
What a name.
Battle bars
It's
are
a good
fucking
name.
best. Yeah.
Good name, too.
Yeah, they're money.
So you've known Mickey then from when he was first starting out back in the day.
Literally, like one of the first days. Like I'd been doing jujitsu with David Adiv for probably about 2 years. So I was probably about 18 when I went to AMA because I was like, that's where, the best guys in Jersey are. I went to Rutgers for the purpose of pursuing MMA. It was important to my family that I went to college. I didn't really give a shit. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna be able to go to my gym in Clinton at Gracie, New Jersey, and I'm gonna be able to go to AMA Fight Club. So I'm gonna keep doing my jiu-jitsu and start doing more Muay Thai. I'd done a little boxing before growing up, but all right. I guess Mike, you tell the story. How I got into the pro classes at 18 years old.
Yeah, and Mickey was honestly very, very talented, and my job as a coach is to always evaluate talent. And we had people coming to us for everything, just to lose weight, get in shape, want to be in the UFC and vice versa. And all the young kids that were coming in, wrestling was also very dominant, in our sport. It's very easy to teach a wrestler how to throw a 1-2 punch rather than somebody who's a champion boxer how to defend a takedown against wrestlers who've been wrestling their whole life. So I was always, watching out, especially for wrestlers. And Mickey came in, good looking, as you know. He had the charisma, he had the riz, good wrestling.
Jesus.
But
Fucking riz.
it's almost like a video game. So you roll with Tommy, right? You smash Tommy. Now I'm like, next round, you get Mickey. You just work your way up the chain. And the thing with our room back then is there was no Mike Tyson at the end of the punch out. It was just an ongoing loop of like the best. And then the Dagestanis started to come, and the Russians and Amanda Nunes, and the room just got, it was never not top. So people would work their way through, and Mickey was just tearing up the regular class. And then we had a pro practice, and I'm like, you got to come into the pro practice. He would help our fighters, and he would be challenged. So Mickey was thrown right into it against some of the top UFC fighters in the world. 18-year-old kid, and super talented. Great guard, good wrestling, for those of you that know MMA. And he jumped off the page, with the talent. And I knew we would have it at some point. I'm actually on tape on our company saying that I truly believed, Mickey, and I said it, you would be UFC champion someday. Like, that's how highly I think of Mickey's skills.
Yeah, he said that when I was like
Completely
18 or
well-rounded.
19,
Yeah,
and I still got to make right on that, and I intend to.
And I said it about Khabib, and he did it. So no pressure,
no pressure.
Nah, none at all.
By the way, for the record, that's not me breathing heavy into the mic this time. I'm stepping all the way away. Somebody else.
You were over there before, and I heard him still breathing.
No,
Yeah,
it ain't me. It ain't
Was it
me.
me?
it's the fucking Bloodwork brothers over here.
It
One
might
of you
be.
two.
I'm not.
No, it wasn't
Hell
you. You were
yeah.
talking. Nah.
Yeah, man.
Okay, thank you, Mickey.
Yeah, you're good.
Thanks.
So he's 18 years old. He comes in. He's throwing hands and like.
Not hands at this point. I noticed him in a jiu-jitsu class, in particular at first. And he was just doing exceptionally well.
Yeah.
And then we put him into
No,
the
you know what it was,
rotation.
Mike? I was doing Kunststock's Muay Thai classes, and then after I was just rolling, just on the mats. And I remember I was
we
rolling
didn't know
with a
you had
couple
that
of the pro.
jiu-jitsu background.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was just rolling with a couple like the pro guys.
Okay.
And I was like kind of I was doing my thing. And I remember like you were walking by, you stopped, you saw me, and then you invited me to class.
Was
And
it
I
towards
like,
the
"Fuck
benches
yeah."
on floor A?
Yes, floor A.
Okay,
yeah.
I remember that. I
Yeah.
kind of remember. I have crazy memory.
And then I was there. I was literally. I would talk about it. I'd be there every day of the week. I was sparring 5 days a week. I don't even know if you knew that, but I would go to the Muay Thai sparring. I would go to the 3 pro sparrings we had, and then the Monday night when they have Muay Thai sparring. So I was like really I'm cutting my teeth up in here. Like I'm getting, because it was the most fun thing to do. Like sparring, for anyone who's done it, there's nothing more fun than that. You know what I mean?
And we went hard.
So
we went
yeah,
hard.
we go hard.
It
I'd
wasn't
be
light
in there.
sparring.
Yeah, I remember it was like Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. We had pro sparring, and then one was like ground.
Wednesday was stand up. Monday was no gi jiu-jitsu. Tuesday wrestling. Wednesday sparring only. Where we do the rounds.
big gloves.
Thursday was MMA. Friday was an MMA little glove practice. Off Saturday. Sunday school on Sunday. And that's when people would come from all over for that.
So you've been coaching, you've been training, you've been managing for a long time. What is it that you look for in an athlete if you think they have a chance to be a professional fighter? You said maybe a wrestling background to begin with. What is it that you're looking for as far as like building and developing a prospect?
Sure. Work ethic is always at the top of anything. But as far as attributes, I feel wrestling and cardio, as crazy as it sounds about cardio, wrestling is key.
Sorry, G.
Yeah, you control or other microphone loud breathers.
G will give you a nasty 30 seconds.
Oh,
and
Yeah,
then-
but most people will
Sounds
in a
like my
street fight.
sex
And 30
life.
seconds would be a lot.
You put me in a phone book, a phone booth.
booth.
Yeah, you put me in a
We're
phone
in one.
booth.
yeah, for real.
I'm gonna be a problem for about 35 seconds.
Yeah,
in there.
yeah, but there's certain things you can't teach. You can't teach heart and you can't teach cardio. To a degree, you can
Can't
train
fix them
cardio,
either. It turns out.
but wrestling and cardio would be 2 of the attributes I'd put at the top of the list.
I think wrestling is very important, especially like lifelong wrestlers. And I think David Adiv might have touched on this too, and he was in here. But those guys are forced to compete every week. Like you can have jiu-jitsu guys who just are partaking in class, or even like someone who does kickboxing, they could just do classes and hit pads. But wrestlers, if you're on a wrestling team growing up, you are competing 2 times a week, you know? So I think that base is kind of you have to put that shit into action, 2 times a week
That's
when it
what makes
really
you
matters.
mentally strong. You're cutting weight during
course.
Thanksgiving. You can't eat, during the holidays as a kid in high school.
Yeah.
You're running stairs, you're sweating. It's a certain type of discipline involved, and even mentally strong. Wrestlers are some of the greatest leaders in the world have a wrestling background.
You think that's changed at all now? With because back when this was all starting, when you started, there was no 4-year-olds learning jiu-jitsu and learning all these other practices, right?
Yeah,
so now they
it's the
are.
next breed of
So is it the
fighter.
same importance now?
a great
the wrestling?
point.
Or,
It's- yes.
So you answer it, Mickey.
I would say yes, but you're correct. Where these, when I'm sure when you got into it, it would be like style versus style, right? Like
Yeah,
there'd be
yeah, of
like
course.
take UFC 1 at least. I was probably before your time, but like you have,
remember.
you got like Hoist Gracie, the jiu-jitsu guy, versus the fucking sumo wrestler versus a kickboxer
and they would intentionally
versus
mismatch them.
yes, but then it became where everyone's doing everything.
Right.
And now it's where everyone's doing everything by the time as like 5-year-olds.
They're like 7, yeah.
So yeah, they should be wrestling and doing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, boxing, like all that shit.
Yeah,
So
let me-
yeah,
let me add
it's
to
going to
that,
be
actually.
an evolution for sure.
Yeah, so as a martial arts school owner and a former lifelong, I should say, martial artist, back then it was style, right? Like you're either a Taekwondo guy, you're a jiu-jitsu player, you're a Muay Thai striker, you're a boxer, you're a wrestler. And you had to go to different gyms to learn that discipline. It was very early on. So even when I started AMA, we were American Martial Arts was the name of my school when I opened in 2003. And we didn't teach jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, MMA, wrestling. It didn't exist back then. We were teaching like a self-defense system. And then I bring in Jamie Cruz, who at the time was one of only 4 black belts in the state of New Jersey in jiu-jitsu. Like that's how early on it was.
When
And
will
I believe
this
David
racism
was
ever
another.
end?
Yeah.
Ricardo Almeida.
What'd you say?
I said, when will this racism ever end?
No, but now you can go to one school and learn it all.
No,
to
they
your
don't.
point.
No, they don't get their own school.
All right, that's for
What
that
did you-
side of the
what
table.
did
I don't
you
know what's
hear?
going on here.
What did you hear?
Jesus.
What did you
What
hear?
did I say? Brazilian jiu-jitsu black
These
belts?
Italians, I swear.
Black belt?
We
Black
get it.
belt?
You're like 2% Sicilian. Relax. I get it.
Zero, I'm not Sicilian at all.
Listen, we have a whole separate. You guys go.
No, you're doing great. Keep being serious.
I'm still trying to figure out if I'm the butt of the joke or like what is it?
If you had Riz, you'd know.
Stop cockily drinking your drink.
He does it after his jokes.
Yeah,
right?
no,
I think he's asserting dominance
it's like
as the
his
big
version
man
of
in
a-
the
I think
room.
he is trying
His
to-
version of a walk.
You're pissing and marking your spot.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
He's
A
just
little
saying,
bit.
I bounced
Little
at
bit.
Sayreville. He
That's
goes,
his
yeah.
bat flip. Yeah,
No, that
that's
was
his bat
good.
flip. Drinking
That
the
was
drink. I like
man.
it.
Thank
I
you,
like
man.
it.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, I got
dun,
my
dun,
song
dun,
out.
dun.
Look at the chimney song out.
Yeah. So you've been coaching. So you competed as a martial artist.
I was a martial artist my whole life, and I did compete in Muay Thai smokers, they were called.
No shit.
Yeah, before MMA, was legal or, accepted. And I did do one pro MMA fight, under the big rules, which is a funny story, as you know who I fought.
I know who you fought.
Hellwig.
And I heard a funny story about that too. I heard
who did
Mike was the only person to refuse the Vaseline. That's not because he didn't want it to clog his pores.
It's all Nick Lembo. Thank you, Nick Lembo. Thank you, Nick Lembo, is the one that
He's been-
started that
he's been
rumor.
perpetuating that
You know
story.
what?
No shit. There's a lot of those
I
stories.
respect it. The fight's only 15 minutes, but the bar closes at 2. Priorities. Priorities.
I can't believe
with
that you
it.
remember that. I mean, I called Nick.
I've heard it. Yeah.
Are you denying it?
Of course I'm denying it.
You're full of shit.
Clog my pores with the Vaseline.
It
was
sounds
the last
exactly
thing I'm
like something you said.
That's the funniness
Hey,
of the
we're
joke.
just talking about your hairdresser.
Once I heard
Funniness
it,
of the
I was
joke.
like, I'm probably not gonna fucking.
I
put
can't
that
believe
shit
that
on
that
either.
story actually had legs.
Am I gonna get pimples? What's
I
going
was
on?
like, I was like, I won't wear it. I'll wear it on for the fight, but not in practice.
I'm not training with that shit.
I want to win.
Yeah.
But, like,
The person that said it is the funny
that
part.
bad.
He's the commissioner of New Jersey that sanctions all the fights. We're friends. We have a relationship, but like
Great
we
guy.
fool around to a degree. And I can't believe that story
sounds
has
weird.
legs that you
Oh,
even
yeah.
know about it.
Oh yeah.
I fought in 2005. I mean, you remember it's 18 years ago.
For those of us that don't know, who did you fight?
I fought a kid at the time. His name was Jonathan Hellwig. Very tough, and he was a local fighter. But we went on to not only become friends. So the fight started. We were on the feet. He hit me with an illegal knee. Big Dan
Oh,
regular.
see how he
I
slips
said,
that in?
It's not an illegal knee. No, he beat me fair and square. He was better. He was better. I'm
Sounded like you
putting
were
that
saying
out
he did.
there. He hit me hard, and I'll never forget the one time he clipped me, and I thought of him as more of a jiu-jitsu guy. And he hit me on the chin, and I did what I taught you guys not to do, which was take a panic shot. So when you're in fight or flight, you have a couple decisions. You're either going to go forward, or in MMA, you want to grab, or you try to take the person down when you're hurt. And I made that mistake, and I paid for it, and he cinched me up in an anaconda choke and gator rolled me with the death roll and choked me out. And at that time, on that card was Frankie Edgar, Jim Miller, Dante Rivera.
Did they fight each other that night?
No, Jimmy fought somebody else. Davidius was on that
Because I know
card.
Jim and Frankie had a legendary regional fight.
Yeah,
like on
that
the
was
local
yeah,
scene.
that was Jimmy kicked his ear off.
Kicked Frankie's ear off
piece
or
of his
something.
ear.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But no, but then Hellwig, after the fight, which sounds crazy at this time, I went up to him and I said, you're very talented. I'd like to manage you and train you, which is an odd thing to say.
To someone who
your
just beat the
opponent,
shit
yeah.
out of you.
After he just finished me. But
You
it
convinced
makes
me.
no sense.
Let me imagine the guy who's asking you
makes
kicks
no
ass
sense.
to train you.
But true story.
There he is. There's Hellwig.
There's
and now,
Hellwig.
And now Hellwig is teaching at AMA Fight Club. Head instructor, right?
Yeah, you could put in Mike Constantino versus Hellwig and it'll come up on YouTube, but I'm not
It won't be very long.
No, but the point was Hellwig now runs my gym. So Hellwig
about that?
So at first he looked at me like I was nuts, and something about Hellwig was funny.
It's like Cobra Kai.
Jay,
It's-
imagine
it's
getting
a
your ass
crazy
kicked.
story.
But
I mean,
hold on.
back in
Mike,
the
hold on
day
one
then,
second.
too.
Imagine kicking the shit out of someone and then them asking to train you.
The balls on this kid.
I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. You're gonna train me.
Yeah, actually, I run into this almost every day on at the pickleball court. Pickleball, they're like, you could be pretty good at pickleball. I can show you a couple of
I
times.
saw by your bio. You see.
You guys fuck with pickleball at all? Have you guys
I
played?
have
got a
friends
bad
that
hit.
play, and I never tried it, but I like paddle sports.
But I
play
saw
around.
you
Lord
have,
loves it.
you have pickleball in your bio.
I am.
That's the first thing in your bio.
I love it.
That's the
I love
thing
it,
you want to
love
be
it,
known
love
by
it.
the most.
Pickleball.
I love it.
I'm okay with
Fucking
it.
awesome.
I love it. I
I
love it
gotta
to
play
death.
now.
Man,
Great.
trying to go pro.
Own it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun as fuck.
Yeah.
It is really fun.
Trying to go pro in doubles. Let's just.
I'm trying to go pro in singles, man. I use my cardio and my length.
so you
Yeah,
play
running
too?
all over there.
We gotta
It's
learn
fun.
it, Mike. It's good for people like us out of shape and shit.
Listen, I would love it. Remember, I had a racquetball
Nice.
challenge with
Love
Corey
it.
Bleakin.
Oh yeah,
We had a racquetball challenge.
Corey Bleakin's a stud.
Yeah, he was great.
Freaking Bleakin.
Shockingly, pickleball professionals do not get paid much less than most young MMA fighters. So it's you can get it, kind of do both, and maybe break even, maybe break the poverty line. But
It's on TV now.
It's
a
huge.
ascending sport.
Oh, it's the
All-
the ascending sport. Yeah.
all jokes aside, what should be done or what could be done to help young fighters, payday? Like the structure of MMA seems very, very, very non-conducive to producing long-term stable talent.
Well, it's a great question, and I've been on all sides of it as even a fighter, trainer, manager, and promoter. So I promote mixed martial arts fights. And what is your job as a promoter? To get people to buy tickets and watch you fight. And one of the biggest struggles is the average fan doesn't know the regular fighter unless they're in the UFC or on TV. So it's very hard to get somebody to spend that money unless they have a direct connection to the fighter. So we rely as local promoters to have fighters sell tickets. There's no simple answer unless you're getting distribution dollars. Like if a network or somebody is paying me to produce the fight, I don't have to worry about the income of the tickets.
Sure.
But it is a broken model to a degree, and there's no simple answer. But distribution, I guess, would be the simplest answer. If you can get paid for your content, and then you don't have to rely on the ticket seller.
Well, I think an interesting solution, and we've talked about this before. I'm a big fan of the team concept, right? Like, because, like you said, you don't know about a fighter until they're in the UFC, and frankly, I don't even know about a fighter until they're one fight away from the championship. And I watch this stuff, and so many fighters come, they put so much into promoting the guy for one fight. God forbid the guy loses, then you never see him ever again. So there's this constant. You don't care enough. There's not enough invested as a fan into the person unless they go on a streak. But if there was something where I was seeing this guy fight once a month, 12 times a year, you can root for him. You can root for the comeback story. There's drama. There's entertainment value there. I don't know what the answer is.
The thing they need to do, I don't even think it's about fighting or seeing them more. Like what you were doing. Remember you were on the show last week, and I said to you, I like what you're doing with social media and how you're improving your Instagram and your Twitter, doing a podcast. None of these kids might have any fucking idea how to market themselves, how to promote themselves.
I was actually going to get to that, but
for
you're
a
going down
long
the right
time.
path. That's
and
another answer.
Not to be offensive to anyone. I love the UFC. I love Dana, all of them. I never met any of them. But they kind of hide these fighters sometimes. Like, they don't want them getting too big, it kind of seems like. Have you experienced that at all? Like, I know Dana's gotten a lot better with it now. But back then, it seemed like the
Well,
fighters.
I'm gonna have to disagree for one
it
reason.
seemed like they had to go
They
do
were on
their
the
own
fore-
work.
They were actually on the forefront of social media, and they used to, before you were in the UFC, give bonuses for amount of new followers a fighter would get.
But
And they
who's
used to bring
teaching
in
them? They don't know how to
had-
use it.
I'll answer that. It was a social media strategist who ran Shaquille O'Neal's account, the Phoenix Suns, and Dana White's. I don't remember her exact name, Jen Wenk maybe, but she was brought in to teach, and she was in the forefront of it. But you are on the right track, and I was going to throw to kind of Tommy because Tommy's very good at social media. I mean, even meteoric rise from the pandemic days, and you guys can get into that. But he's very good at teaching. Like I laugh, I don't know what to tag or tag a photo, and everybody should know that. And the answer to your question is make yourself more marketable as a fighter. Make people know who you are.
Sure.
And everybody has that ability through social media nowadays.
Okay, but let me push back on that for a second because that takes time, effort, energy to one, educate yourself on it if you're doing it yourself, or even if you can do it yourself, which most of these guys can't. I watch him, dude trains 10 hours a day, sleeps 10 hours a day. You know what I mean? So it's like, what extra time do you have to do it?
And
so
but that-
farm
you're
it out
right.
to pay somebody, you don't have any money.
That's
what
what
we're going
he's
with
actually
that.
saying. What I was saying that yes, they don't have time to do it. And the UFC now they had the Tough House. They had a lot of the what's the UFC things they do now before the fights, the 30-minute docu-series before the fights.
Looking for a fight? When
I
Dana
don't know.
Rivera?
No, you're-
Or like
they
the
pre-
UFC countdowns.
Yeah,
and
they
like-
those
okay.
countdown
Yeah,
things
yeah.
they do on UFC.
Yeah, the
But
promotion
that stuff's
and stuff.
awesome. That stuff's
Yeah.
great. But someone like Mickey doesn't have time to do that. The UFC should be providing, in my opinion, talented social media people, not the guy who did
I think
Shaq.
he's saying before UFC. He's saying regional was your
Yeah,
question,
and
right?
also
Well,
in the
even
UFC,
before
there's
then,
just
yeah.
not-
Oh, but even not the
But
guy
who
who
pays
does
for
Shaq,
that?
because that guy's too busy too. Get some people who just know social media, want to get into the industry, interns, people like that, to run Mickey's account. Like take
Oh,
the
that- I
highlights.
agree with that,
If Mickey
yeah.
does an interview, take the highlights, clip it together for him, put it together, and
Yeah,
the
yeah, he
UFC
shouldn't do
puts
that.
it out.
Fighters should
He
train
shouldn't
and
have to do
fight.
that.
But
He's got to
this
work.
is- This is also why I do think, in some capacity, the future is some sort of team aspect because you can put all those resources into the Yankees,
Mm-hmm.
and who's ever on the Yankees roster gets the ancillary effect of being a Yankee.
They tried,
Right,
though. They
right.
tried.
Yeah,
So
with
we had the IFL.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
it didn't work.
The team concept didn't work because people were either getting hurt, new fighters replacing them, called to the UFC, and people didn't get behind the teams, and they named them. The Henzo Gracie team,
Sure.
New York
Pit
Pitbulls. And then they're like all the teams had a famous fighter. So New York had Henzo Gracie, and then Matt
Miletich
Lindland.
had a
Yeah, they all
team.
had a team, and it was a good concept. They put a ton of money behind it, and people just didn't take to the team concept. Believe it or not.
How much time did they give it? How many seasons did it run?
And it was on TV, believe it or not, before the UFC.
I remember.
Like they actually
I
got a
remember
TV
watching
Doesn't
deal.
that make
They
it
put a
was-
lot of
doesn't that
money
mean it was
behind
too early
to
then?
make it work. The team
for it.
concept is tough. I mean, again, it's tough because you wanted to go to the UFC. It's like what kid wants to go and play in for baseball, for instance, you want to go to Major League Baseball, right? That's your goal. So in fighting, it became the UFC was like almost like a Q-tip and a Xerox, where it's a brand name, not a product. People would call my gym, "Do you teach UFC?"
No
Right,
doubt
yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
And
I get
everybody
that.
wanted
Yeah.
to go there.
Do you think anybody
Who would go to the team?
I totally get it, but do you think anybody wakes up and is like, "Man, I hope I'm a New York Jet. I really want to be a
Yeah.
New." So yeah, the New York Jets didn't exist until the '60s, and the AFL it took 10 years before it. So I don't know.
I think you're right. It was early, Mike. That was too early. Nothing was
I
working
get
back
what you guys
then.
are saying,
you know?
and there is, it is continuing to evolve, and it is still new. Like the UFC, that's been around since '93.
Sure.
Right. So now you're starting to see competitors like the PFL, Bellator,
all that, yeah.
these different, these different places. So yeah, there could be a change in a change of the guard. It seems like the UFC is so far ahead though.
It's so far ahead.
Yeah.
Where it's it does, but hey, crazier shit's
All I'm
happening.
saying
It
is
is possible.
All I'm saying is this: I don't know the fight game like you. I don't know the fight game 1/100th of you, but I do know entertainment. And if I want to watch something, if I want to gamble on something, right, and my team is down 5 points, and you get 10 points for a knockout, 3 points for a win, and you're going into that last fight,
Yep.
and knowing my team needs a knockout. I'm putting down money
love
for
it.
that knockout. There's intrigue. There's a reason to watch the whole fight card outside of just that one fighter that I like or I'm friends with or whatever. There's
So if you're to do this, what do you think? Do you do so you have to get how many weight classes do you cover? Do you do 5 weight classes? Do you do 3-minute rounds?
I
Three
think so.
3-minute rounds?
I think like something like that. I would put a roster of 15 people, all right, or 10 people, 5 weight class. So let's say one of your fighters is hurt, right? And now you have to have your middleweight fight at light heavy. And
All
again,
right, you gotta
there's
bump 'em up.
There's
They have catch
intrigue.
weights and
You know,
stuff.
there's intrigue. Or you
Sure.
got two great 170s, and he's got two great heavyweights. I trade my 170 for the heavyweight, and then at the end of the season, guess who's fighting against each other? To me,
I
it's
love
just
it.
it's just intrigue.
And it's kind of what
There could be a fighter draft. American
Yes,
sports
yes.
are billion-dollar industries for a reason. Just create America. Just don't reinvent the wheel.
The
To me,
WWE.
I would rather see Mickey Gall fight 10 times a year.
Me too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then also, like,
too.
this is your team. This is yeah. You're coaching these guys. This is your team. I have something to give a shit about week in
I
and
get
week
it.
out.
I get the concept. Yeah.
You know, as opposed, like, if I'm a Floyd Mayweather fan, I watched him fight 2 times in 4 years. What the fuck? I don't give a shit. If you're a Conor McGregor fan right now, what have you had besides his Instagram for 4 years?
And that's what killed boxing. That like these guys stopped fighting. If you look at Ali and his older, he fought like 10 times a year.
Really?
You see the boxers now; they'll fight once a year. I love this.
Yeah.
Because you add the fantasy aspect to it. You put a draft. Why do I know who Kayla Harrison is? You guys do.
Yeah.
Because PFL did a $1 million
Yeah,
bracket
right,
challenge,
yeah.
and that's what made it hot. I would tune in because this person's going to make $1 million or nothing.
Totally.
Right. Like that's the.
You know what would change the
100%.
game? It would take ESPN to form the ESPN Fight League, which is such a big platform with so much money, or HBO Sports. Sure. You know,
It's
like,
fucking-
it
it's
has to
Karate
be
Kid.
that.
Totally.
And then it could happen.
Totally.
But who's willing to do that?
And,
invest the
and like you
time
said,
and
it takes
the money?
5, 6,
Yeah,
7
yeah.
years for anybody to give a shit.
I'll tell you what.
You know what I mean?
Colombia. We're developing a league in Colombia, right? So we could do something like that in South America, which, you know, we flew in fighters from Brazil, we flew in fighters from Argentina, and that could fly possibly even outside the United States, what you're talking about.
Have you been to a
Test it
big?
out there.
Have you been to a big Division I wrestling tournament?
No.
Yeah.
You got to check it out. Every school is there. It's sick.
You have your team.
It's
Yeah.
sick. You know, it's really cool. And again, I love MMA, and I'm not shitting on the UFC at all. I love Dana White. I'm just saying, as a fan, and the sport's evolving. All sports are evolving. Baseball's making changes to try to speed up the game for the fan. As a fan, I hate rooting for a guy, watching him
seen
fight twice. The guy loses, and I don't see him.
Yeah.
You know
or
what
the
I'm saying? Like,
judges fuck him, and then you don't see him for 6 months. And he
Plus,
deserves
I'd love to
lose.
see. I'd love to see a comeback year, man. Somebody goes like 5-5 in 1 year, and the next year he just takes off. I mean,
Yeah,
how many
you look at-
athletes have you seen that are like Aaron Judge has a bad year, hits 60 home runs the next year? You don't see that in fight sports.
Listen,
you know?
March Madness, right? It's by far the most popular sporting month of anything, right? You have the Super Bowl, you have a couple of, but March Madness is its 2-week event. The Karate Kid, where you had Cobra Kai.
That was cool,
Like
yeah.
they
That
had
was-
teams,
that was
right?
cool.
So
Great
you do
outfits.
a draft. You do a draft.
Hey, don't you love when people who don't know shit about MMA talk about MMA?
Oh, yeah. No, I actually disagree.
You'll be out there
I'm
every
fucking
3
with you.
days.
I'm
I
fucking-
I can-
I
At least
disagree.
screaming
because
about
I like
fucking
when
fans.
fans
I can
No,
already.
I,
I can.
I'm fucking with them.
No, don't
No.
pull it back.
I can
We can handle it.
already hear the purists telling my fat ass to shut up. Or the fat
At
this,
least you got
fat
someone
that,
agreeing
fat,
with
fat,
you, yeah.
fat.
No,
Am I wrong though?
But imagine
Am I
you have-
wrong?
No, you guys are saying good points. I just like to fucking.
I want to
take
hear his
the-
opinion.
take
Would
the-
the
take
team
the-
thing fly, in your opinion, for what you're? Because
I think-
I
I
see
think
what
it
you're
could. I
saying,
think it
and it would
could.
take money and a big network.
Big,
that's
big
what
money,
I
big
think.
network,
That's what I
big
think.
sponsors.
It would be monstrous.
But would
dude.
you do that?
Yeah,
I mean, how big
if
would the money have to be? I'm saying to not pursue
He
the
doesn't
dream of the
need to
UFC.
fight all the time.
It would have to, for anyone who's like obviously you want to be in the UFC, that's where you build the biggest name and stuff like that. But we're starting to see guys leaving and going to get paychecks.
Because money talks. It's $1
Sa-
million.
Sage Northcutt
You know, it's $1
left
million.
to go, you know what I mean, to go
Wanna
make more
share.
money. Burgos just left to go get more money. You know what I mean? Like there's people doing that. So if the money was right and the concept made sense, and I think what you said was a big deal, that it would have to be like HBO or ESPN or
Yeah.
someone big would have to
Jake
be
Paul.
behind it. You know,
Something like that, you know?
No, but it's good to hear the perspective of what people want. I mean, you're a consumer, right? You didn't fight, to your point, and you would watch it. You're saying if these things were there, so it's something to pay attention
At
to.
the end of the day, like
we
you
should
said-
cut all this part out and go pitch it. To
I
the
was just
fucking
going to say,
network. Right?
someone's taking
Some
this
dickhead's
right
gonna
now and
steal
running
I'm taking it to Colombia, baby.
All it takes is a generation. All it takes is a generation growing up and saying, "I want to fight for the New York
Yes,
Yankees like
yes.
my hero Mickey Gall." That's all it takes. And then the next thing you know, that's what they care about. Like they there's a reason why the New York Giants, there's a reason why every NFL player, when they get into the end zone, the first thing they want to do is take their helmet off.
Yep.
It's me.
I wanna
Give
be
me
seen.
the money.
Yeah.
But the NFL, guy gets hurt, next. Guy gets hurt, next. Saquon Barkley, you want a long-term deal?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't
Wait.
know.
Yeah.
We'll get another running back and you'll be forgotten. The league works. The money works. It's just a matter of giving it the time to get there, right? On an individual level, you can love one fighter and you love. Now imagine if my 3 favorite fighters were all on my team,
Right.
and we had a big signing. We stole Philadelphia's best fighter. They're coming to fight for New York next. That's something that's news on a Tuesday the UFC just doesn't have now.
Yep.
There's juice there. There's juice and there's something of interest there. You can have a draft. Imagine Gable Stevenson coming out in the draft, and one of these guys is going to get him.
This is real.
I get what
I'm
he's saying, but
obsessed
the
with this
real
fucking
answer
idea.
is it's just going to take a huge
It
network,
does
a
not.
ton of money and time.
No.
I mean, it's not a bad idea, but I just don't know if anybody's willing
listen.
to invest what's needed to do
It's
it.
exactly what needs to be done. Even the WWE is doing a draft right now. They're doing
Yeah.
drafts for fake wrestling on TV. That the fantasy and gambling culture is who you need to cater to right now.
100%. That's why we own a sports gambling and fantasy
100%.
company.
But
Oh,
that's
that's a nice little segue right there. There's a nice little segue. Stay cash.
No, I agree. It's big
So
money,
hey,
man.
how about some of my picks this weekend, huh?
Yo, dude. First of all, I was texting
See,
Mickey
it's-
like excited, like a fanboy, like, dude, you nailed it. He took.
Not only did he nail it, I
No,
mean, he hit
he
like a
literally-
plus 400.
Dude,
Yeah.
he's gotten like 3 wrong this year.
Well, listen, and I
And it
always
was
say I always kind of shit on my picking skills. I'm always like, look, I'm not good at picking fights. If I don't know, you know what I mean? It's like I'm guessing. But I did have some fucking nice calls on the show here, and then I went and I was happy. I did very well on their
not
show
only
as well.
the nice thing about it because you don't do a lot of gambling, and we're gamblers.
I don't
right?
do any gambling,
That's what
yeah.
I'm saying. You don't know a lot about gambling or anything, right?
Don't you love it when people who aren't gamblers want to talk about gambling?
That was good.
I
Well
know
done.
fighting.
Good. That's
Well
why
done.
that's a comedian.
But,
That's
yeah,
why.
that's,
no
right.
fighting,
That's why
yeah.
he's on stage.
That's great.
But the thing about it is he didn't just pick Immortal to win. Like he
Told you
picked him
how.
by
I said by
knockout
the
plus
knockout.
400.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Mickey doesn't even know what that meant. Like these guys are getting 4 times their
I know
money on
what
the
it
pay.
means.
Nah,
I'm not a retarded.
I don't fucking. You're a fighter. I don't know.
Do get hit in the head.
But, and then
sometimes.
you got the what was the other one?
He said about Morono, too.
Morono
I mean,
we
how it's
got,
strictly long.
Right?
Yeah.
There was 3. I
Well,
think you
there's
were
nothing
I
like
said-
knowing a fighter when you're
Gary-
fighting in the
Gary-
cage yourself.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't. I
The Gary
actually
you
didn't pick that
abstained
fight.
from,
I
but-
abstained.
Those are boys.
Yeah,
I
he
abstained. I
from
abstained
that.
from my.
He gave the attributes of what it would take for each to win, and he was right.
Yeah, but everything
Yeah.
was.
He said that Gary would lure him in, and he would. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, me watching it, because as you were saying that, I was listening, but at the same time, like I didn't think it would be that serious. And even Rogan on the mic said, or Dominic, whoever's commenting, Dominic Cruz says, Gary did a great job there of bringing him in and giving him a false sense of security, and then pounced. And it was literally exactly what Mickey said.
Yeah.
And awesome insight, and we look forward to Mike and Mick's picks. And,
That's right.
I love how
No,
he's tying
together
he's tying
we
himself
were
to
like
a lot of pitches
yeah,
going on here.
that's-
Hey.
Yeah,
Well, we
no,
got G&G over here, so
Yeah,
we'll
there
be
you go,
fine.
man.
There you go.
Capital G.
Yeah,
lowercase
they'll have
G.
the fucking conspiracy
squared.
show.
Conspiracy botching a loop on this side.
We'll
of the
talk about
table.
lizard people. You guys do that.
You guys call it Shadow Band G over there.
serious topics for serious people on this room. Yeah, like why are they seeding clouds? What? Anyway, so harps a real thing.
Is the Earth
Couldn't help
round?
himself.
Huh?
Is it flat or round, the Earth?
Those are not the only.
Yeah,
two
I know, but I'm
options.
asking you your buy-in question.
I believe the Earth is of a spherical nature. Yeah. I'm not a flat earther, but I'll tell you what. I don't like when people just dismiss them outright
You
as
can't.
if the government and our textbooks are 100% accurate about everything. Right. So, I'm not a flat earther, but I enjoy their commitment to finding the truth.
Could I ask you a question on that one, though, just because it's on topic? There's Encyclopedia Britannicas that depicted a flat Earth from way back when that were in circulation that are no longer in existence.
back to the Bible.
So why
The
did it go
Bible
in
talk-
there that it was flat? I'm not a flat earther either.
Bible talks about the
on or
firmament.
against it, but I'm an open-minded to listen to both sides. If Encyclopedia Britannica, which was one of the big, they used to go door to door back in the day,
Mike,
and
are
sell
there,
it.
Mike, let me ask you
How
this.
could it be in there?
Are there things that we were told was gospel truth
Nothing.
4 weeks ago that we know is complete bullshit
Everything's
now?
bullshit.
So if there's things that were gospel truth, the media told us this is 100% true a month ago, and now a month later we know is dog shit. Amplify that by 10,000 years.
Yep,
I agree.
that's what I was saying.
What do we really know? The one that drives me out of my mind is for a couple 100,000 years we were ape-like creatures, and then 10,000 years ago we finally figured out let's civilize a little bit here. Let's go ahead and do a little hunting and gathering. And then for 10,000 years we found the wheel, we mastered fire, maybe a printing press here and there. And then within a 60-year period we went from horse and carriage to the fucking moon.
Never been back.
So
Because
how?
we didn't go to the fucking moon.
So how? Well, we definitely have rockets.
not even close that we went to the moon.
We definitely have rockets, and we definitely have missiles. So regardless of whether you think we went to the moon or not,
Right.
How the fuck did we go for hundreds of thousands of years nomads, 10,000 years civilization, 60 years fucking computer science?
It's a lot you can't explain.
Yeah.
And built the pyramids along the way.
I mean, how about the fact that, regardless of what anyone's religious preference is, I'm not trying to bash religion. How about in the Bible for about 300 years, everyone was made of magic from all that. We went from cavemen to people parting seas with sticks and all. Everyone was made of magic, and then everyone started dying at 20.
There's a lot of stories.
15,
different
so none of it's
religions
real.
and, yeah.
Like, a lot of it is fake and stories.
It's
and
like the game of telephone, though, too. You know, it's been
Did
passed
they,
down.
did they part the seas,
No,
or did
none
they,
of it,
were,
no.
they, were they just aware of what the tides were?
Was it a sandbar?
Was it a sandbar? Whoa, that dude's walking on water. Yeah. Listen, Christians always think I'm shitting on them, and I'm not. But
They
I just
think I'm shitting on
I
them, too.
have these questions, man, and there's no reason that if you feel like a question, a legitimate question, is an attack on your worldview, I hate to tell you about your worldview. It's unsustainable. If you can't answer a very simple question, then you don't have a worldview. What you have is an indoctrination. What you have is like, you know, this faithful belief that what I've been told is correct. You don't have any actual knowledge that what you've been told is correct.
Well, that's
a
why
problem.
they're deleting everyone who's raising questions, because that's all we're doing when we do podcasts, when we do conspiracy shows, when me and you talk on the internet. They don't want people questioning anything. So if you take away the people who are bringing up the best facts from the internet, you form an echo chamber, and that's what it is. It's just a government echo chamber right now, where if you question fucking anything, you lose your account. You're deleted, you're gone.
true. I mean,
So
can't
that way
argue
they
that
can
either. That's
form
fact.
that
I mean,
single.
And that happened to you, right? You got your
I
shit
went
taken away?
from I had 40,000 followers. I went to 230,000 in 3 months.
Quick.
Like it just took off, and it was because you remember the Wayfair conspiracy?
Of course.
That was me.
You started that.
Yeah. So
What do you mean it was me?
It was him.
You stole the
Yeah.
children? And that's where the cages
No,
are!
no,
That's what the cages are for!
Some of his things went too far. Some of his
cages-
things
yeah.
went too far, and some were good. But you know, I don't know if there's underground
but yeah,
tunnels.
no.
in New
So
York,
the
but-
so I was writing threads and stuff. The Chrissy Teigen getting deleted from
but he
Twitter.
also had like 1 billion engagement or whatever.
They tagged me as
So for
QAnon.
people want...
Yeah.
That's good producing. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
Shit.
Galati was one of the first major promoters of the Wayfair conspiracy theory, which focused on high-priced furniture available on Wayfair to suggest that the site was being used to traffic children. Wayfair denied the allegation, but that didn't stop just one of Galati's tweets about the company from racking up more than 27,000 retweets and more than 1.4 million views on Twitter.
What happened? You tried to buy a sick couch and
I
you got
actually-
a fucking
so-
child?
Tommy's very good at researching and.
So I was writing big thread. Chrissy Teigen, when she got kicked off Twitter, that was me and a crew of us who got her kicked off. Remember,
Very
she
cool.
attacked me
Alyssa
back.
Milano. I mean, he had
Alyssa-
his
yeah.
beefs. They
Ellen-
were tagging him.
Chrissy
Tom Hanks.
They
Teigen,
were
Chrissy
tagging
Teigen is unmitigated monster.
Yes.
She is a monstrous human being.
If you see someone,
That's your
mention
boy
GM,
right there, then, buddy.
That's
100%.
John Legend's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, are we gonna
woman.
get into Pizzagate? What are we doing here?
friends with
What are we
Chris.
doing?
Tommy Twitter ward with Christy
Oh,
Teigen.
No,
man.
me and Chrissy Teigen were going back and forth on
We
Twitter.
talking
was
Podesta's
tagging
emails
She
here?
was
What are we
tagging
doing?
him.
But no, the
Now they're
Wayfair
getting
thing.
started.
Tell them about this. Is interesting. Also, I mean, keep in mind we're business partners in a sports gambling and fantasy sports company. I come from an MMA background. Tommy's been in the sports gambling, but then during COVID, the world shuts down. My gym is shut down. My live event business is shut down.
Non-essential.
Tommy's company is shut down. All right, there you go.
non-essential.
Yeah, exactly. But he became a star in that period using social media as everybody was locked down, and truly went from 30,000 to 250 plus, but like thousands of retweets, tons of engagement, celebrity
Yeah.
arguments.
When
But
there's,
talk about that. I
When
mean,
there's,
like
when
going
there's
from
blood
that.
on the streets, tweet.
Well,
There you go.
and the thing about it, you know from this, because nowadays everyone's talking conspiracy. Back in 2019, no one was. It wasn't a popular topic.
well, that's not true. Let's give Alex Jones.
No,
credit.
that's where I was about to go. That's
Infowars
I'm going to
credit.
go even further than that.
Yeah.
So not just Alex Jones. You had Tripoli with tinfoil hat. You had Rogan talking
Yep.
podcast. You had Eddie Bravo. You had a lot of people doing it, but
Totally.
it wasn't
wasn't a-
mainstream,
yeah,
right?
forefront.
When you thought conspiracy, you thought Alex Jones talking about the frogs being gay. right? And they
Which it's
which they
very
are. It's true.
important people know, as much of a
That's
joke as
true.
that was, it turned out to be
But
true.
it is.
I don't even want to hear that one.
There is stuff that was
All
turning
frogs
the
are
frogs
gay?
effeminate.
No,
Yes.
no. There was chemicals
In the water.
which is crazy because it was an anti-corporation. It was like how everybody was started being like, man, Monsanto's just. It was that they were.
I forget what there's a
I missed that thread of time.
No. There's
Yeah.
something in the metals in like this that's banned in like every country but
Sure.
5, and we're fucking one of them.
Yeah.
That's turning people more effeminate. It's like lowering testosterone.
Do you know what's
levels and
interesting
all
about
that.
you getting banned? I never took Alex Jones seriously ever. I thought he was a kook. I thought he was a charlatan until they banned him.
Right.
And I said, out of all the people in the world, they're going after this guy.
Yep.
And then I'm like, they don't want us to know what this guy's saying. The act of them banning him made me take him more seriously.
Right. They're stupid. The cabal's retarded. So
He's even
I
speaking
used
the done
here's
language.
word. So what they did in 2020, what happened was, even me and you, right? Like you were busy with your business. You're busy fighting. You can't fight anymore. Dana White still kept it going. I was running my sports
A.
business. You were doing your stand-up shows. Now the
Shut
clubs are
down.
closed.
Shut
Right?
down.
We had nothing to fucking do. So you now had educated, well-researched people who've been studying
nothing
this
but
shit
the
since
internet,
fucking
yeah.
9/11. Didn't just start in 2020. Putting out information and talking about this fucking bullshit vaccine and the fake COVID and all that.
Why are the homeless not dying?
Exactly. So all of a sudden, it started to go viral, and they became very afraid of us because we're saying the same shit Alex Jones is saying, except articulate and with power. You know, like the Michael Rothschild article.
And no
like
agenda. No agenda.
Right, just straight, want people to
And
fucking
there's a
know.
larger audience now with Twitter and social
And-
media that didn't exist in the past.
Right.
And you get your message out faster and more aggressively.
So what was-
And they were hanger-oners and
What was
you know,
the thing
your
I was?
pack.
What was
Jake Shields was very big in it.
Yes.
a lot? Yeah, I mean Eddie Bravo was like one of the original with Joe Rogan.
And then you saw like people like, I'm sure you did it, I did it, going directly at the head of Chrissy Teigen,
Yeah, that's
Ellen,
fun.
like tagging them, going at them, sending swarms
Can
at
I
them.
drop your greatest Alyssa Milano line ever? Because he literally tweeted to Alyssa Milano, "You make me sick." He goes, "I can't believe I masturbated to you when I was a teenager."
I can't believe I used to
He
jerk off to
tweeted-
you.
He
Wait,
tweeted
that
it,
was you?
and she responded.
Yeah.
I'm sure he can pull it up in 10 seconds.
I reposted that tweet.
No way. No way.
everywhere.
No way.
I almost got that tweet tattooed. I love that,
That
so
was me.
much. That was fantastic.
Wait, if this is true, like right now I got to figure out, Mickey, if we're being gamed or
No,
not.
100%.
You reposted Tommy's Alyssa Milano.
nonstop. Yeah,
Wow.
it was a great. I mean, that was a
said I
a
can't believe I
great.
used to jerk
comedic
off to you.
brilliance.
It
and
was
truth,
brilliant.
yeah.
It was brilliant.
The fact that she replied.
Well, we went back and forth.
And yeah, but I'm saying
I
that to
thought I
me was
gonna
blowing
fuck her.
me
I got
away at the
excited.
time.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna start a Mike and Mickey podcast. They're gonna start a fucking gay podcast. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
All right,
sure.
listen,
Yeah.
we're in. Let's go.
Well, I learned about gay frogs and tinfoil.
I learned about
cans.
Riz.
you
from
know what,
you guys?
know what the Wayfair conspiracy
Of
theory
course,
is, right?
yeah.
Now the time
I know Riz and Cap. Of course, I know that. Yeah.
so that for people that don't know, there was this conspiracy that children were being abducted and then sold on sites like Wayfair for ridiculous sums, and now it's been denied and it's been
not.
debunked.
It's
and-
bullshit.
and-
The debunking too.
so, but the thing is like if you look it up, there was a girl who had a very unique name. Let's call it like Teresa or something like that, and she went missing in Cleveland 3 months ago. Now there's a dresser
bureau.
called the Teresa dresser.
That's the same as 17 other fucking dressers at the same price.
That's worth
$5,000.
$10,000 on Wayfair. Even more interesting was the timing of the Wayfair release. And I have friends in the police department that told me that this is what happened with Anthony Weiner's
I
laptop.
was just gonna say I had a
Yep.
student
Same thing.
that was in
So
that precinct.
they saw what was on Anthony Weiner's
Killed
laptop.
themselves.
2 of them, I believe,
8.
did. Oh, it was 8 killed
Like
themselves?
It was
like
a
Kevin
crazy
Spacey's
amount.
accuser.
So there
same
was
thing.
One was 2 days from retirement with a full pension.
So
Yeah.
there,
blew
they-
his head off in a car.
There was a gag order. They couldn't come out and say. So they went on 4chan, they went on these Reddit threads, and they said, this is what it is. This is what was on that thing. Somebody leaked it because they just couldn't live with themselves not to. And that's what leaked the Anthony Weiner laptop. I think the same thing happened because the Wayfair stuff came out 3 days, I
Yep,
believe,
right
after
after. Right
Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested.
Yep.
So somebody found out what the deal was. In my conspiracy brain, this is how it lines up. She comes in, spills the tea. There's a gag order from the judge. Nobody can say anything. One of the guys says, "This is fucking nuts. There's no way we can allow this to go on. I can't live with myself." Puts it out in those same 4chans in that same group. Unfortunately, those 4chan groups at this point are just cesspools of false flags and feds. So you just don't know. That's where like the lizard people stuff comes from. they inundate these
You don't
things.
believe shape-shifting reptilians
So
rule the
they
world?
inundate these things with crazy things because it's like they want you to see like, oh hey, look, there's liquid death on here. You know who drinks liquid death? Reptilians drink liquid death, and then they start saying like, okay, so if you believe someone drinks liquid death, you think of
It discredits
reptilians?
you. It immediately discredits you.
Immediately.
So that's
No,
why.
hold on. Let me ask one question. Because to
Yeah.
stay on topic, where did you first hear about? Like,
no,
obviously,
that's
you
what I'm
didn't
telling you
wake
now.
up and say like the Toys R Us catalogs.
Well,
corrupt.
so some
Like,
of it
how
did.
you
The
wake up and hear
pedophile
about
symbol
it?
in Gavin Newsom's header. I found that like just drunk on cocaine and tequila at fucking 4 a.m. But
Like the old journalists used to do.
But the thing about it is you were just mentioning the Reddit forums. That's why every article you see written about me says Tommy G QAnon conspiracy
Yeah,
theory. So they started taking conspiracy theories, which we talked in the hall are not conspiracies, but they started that and they merged it and tagged it with QAnon.
Yeah,
so
they
they
were
made
labeling
us
QAnon. Yeah.
crazy people, even though I used to look at the Reddit shit, but I was never in the Q group, right?
Yeah.
But if you look here, even the debunking of Wayfair, one of the person who debunked it said QAnon people have Wayfair trending today. They falsely claim the price glitches of the storage boxes prove the company wasn't trafficking. So they said price glitches, and the next fact checker said it was because the cabinets were highly priced because they were industrial. So even the fact checkers who are
That's what happened to you
censoring
with the
you
Onion
can't
or
get their
whatever,
story
the
straight
Beast,
on why
the Daily
you're a
Beast.
fucking idiot. But like when I say I was Wayfair or whatever, there was like a girl who had like 10 followers who found something. It's never the person who sends it viral, right? Like I was the one who sent it viral.
I believe it's people that are they know.
Yeah, and
they're
they're
dropping
under,
information.
Well,
under
look
a
at
dark
WikiLeaks
account.
with Julian Assange.
Right,
I mean, that was
exactly.
like
And
one
then
of the
it
most
takes-
popular, and then he had to get exiled. Tommy had, I don't know if you know this, but John McAfee, who was also Epstein technically,
Yep.
Tommy had an interview at the height of all this with John McAfee from an undisclosed tinfoil hut.
He was on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, it's on one of his No Mercy podcasts, but he had John McAfee on, and he's like literally telling you like what's going on, and people would dismiss
Is
it
he
as
dead? Is
he's
McAfee
crazy.
dead?
He Epstein. He
I don't
apparently
think he's
suicided
dead.
himself.
No, I don't think he's dead.
You don't think he's
But,
dead?
Yeah, I don't. It's kind of weird
Call
that
him.
he got.
Call
yeah,
him up.
you wanna
Call his
call
wife.
him? Yeah, I had his wife.
Yeah, I know. It's just like
It's kind of weird the timing of it that he was just about to get extradited back to America.
That'd be some
when he died.
breaking ass news for Slick and Thick if you called John McAfee right now.
yeah, get him on.
Tommy,
Break the fucking internet. But no, I don't think he's dead. Honestly, no.
What about Michael Jackson?
No.
You don't think Michael
you think MJ's
Jackson's
alive?
dead?
I
Oh,
think
you didn't see
most
that
of-
one? You
no.
didn't see that conspiracy?
Michael-
Where he jumps out the ambulance?
No, I have not seen that one.
What about the Ellen girl?
Oh, my
that,
God.
Dude, I watched her
That was
unzip
horrible.
herself.
And Hayes
What
or
happened
whatever.
there?
It was
horrible.
None of these people are fucking dead, dude. They're gone. They just take them out of society.
Have
and
you
put
ever- have you ever
fucking
seen-
body double in for them?
Have you ever seen Dre casually talking about, nah, I'm not coming back out with music because then I can't say what I want to say and then they'll kill me, clone me, and my
That's
robot
what they
will take
do.
my
Yeah.
place.
So are they dead? I
Dre
don't know. But
said
yeah,
it.
they get
Well,
replaced.
some people come
Now
out.
that could be full of shit, but it's
You
wild.
ever see Biden's fucking earlobes? They're attached
Oh, I
to his
agree with
head
that.
in half his pictures and
There's
separated in the other
whatever.
half. There's like 100 of these.
Whatever
we
he
got a
is.
Biden bot. We got a Biden bot.
I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on there, but obviously his features are different. Chip implanted.
Forget the features, dude.
But,
Earlobes. That's where you search.
I don't know
Search
what's going on
earlobes.
there. Mask, robot. I don't know, but it's not
At
real.
the end of the day, what's really come out of all this to the COVID thing is that I just can't trust anything I've been told ever, and I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't trust medicine anymore. I don't like that.
Yo,
I
I've
don't
said it
trust
before,
experts.
and I'm
was
gonna
a
say it
scary part,
again, and I'm gonna keep saying it. I have several family members who have been significantly affected by the fucking forced vaccine.
Yep.
Who
I
have
never
had
would take it, never wouldn't
who
commit.
have had their lives almost ruined by shit that's come up from the vaccine.
I believe it.
You know, and that was fucking forced down your throat. And there, you know what I mean? I'm watching people in my family experiencing guilt when it, you know what I mean, for like allowing people to take it when
see
it
how
was
easily
fucking
they
forced. It
conformed?
was forced. It was forced.
But they
But it
conform
was
so
forced.
quick.
But I know people who would have lost their fucking
That's
businesses,
why.
their houses,
That's what they do.
everything if they didn't go along with it.
100.
They find
And
your
that's-
weak
and
spot.
Fucking, it was forced.
And now they got the balls to come out and say, "I never forced anybody to do
Yeah.
it." What are you talking about?
Now they got
We
the
never-
balls
we
to-
never-
you
the
just
whole
couldn't.
thing
You
is
couldn't
wild.
eat places.
The
You
whole
couldn't.
concept
You'd
is
lose
completely
everything.
wild.
I mean, they literally.
But
they-
it just
My favorite
it
is my
shows how
kids
quick they could
have
do
to
it.
wear a mask to go to school, but the parents can go to a restaurant, take it off to eat, go to the bathroom, put it on. Like
That's
to me,
his-
the
that's one of his
science,
jokes.
Sit down.
dude, the science didn't make sense. Like but that was my argument back, where people are like, well, why don't you want to get vaccinated? I said, prove to me why that I can walk into a restaurant with a mask, sit down, take it off, eat, get up, go to the bathroom, put it on, but at the same time, My kids have to sit at a school desk further apart than anybody, and they allegedly said
part of
that
the
the
cabal's
kids
plan.
were the hardest to contract it at
So
that time.
I do a
I didn't
bit.
agree. Like it didn't make sense.
I do a bit that's essentially
That you could
that.
actually see on Gerard's new special.
Yo, check out. It gets
Nice.
worse. Yeah. Where I say there was a lady, I was like, hey, who trusts the science here? And like, it's like low. And one lady's like, everybody should. And I'm like, all right. And then people started booing her and stuff like that. We cut all this out. We should have kept it in. But I'm like, all right, listen. No, it's okay. Everybody has their own decisions. I'll tell you what. I will put a mask on right now if you can explain to me why COVID floats. It's like, COVID doesn't float. I'm like, really? Well, then how come when I'm walking in, I'm in a danger zone? But as soon as I sit at the table, I can take my mask off. COVID's just sitting up there menacing us like a nasty little COVID cloud. I was like, it makes no sense. You're yelling at me to trust the science.
Like we
I'll-
should have just army crawled everywhere. We could have fucking broken the fucking.
Could have kept the restaurants
Coulda
open.
kept everything open.
Put the food on the floor.
Why do the kids have to wear them if they're the least likely to
makes
get
no
it?
sense.
Guys, the problem isn't that it makes no sense. The problem is that everyone fucking followed
No, it was
That's the problem,
It was
dude.
an obedience test
Yeah,
for sure.
but everyone fucking followed, dude. I got the video from the Garden State Plaza on December 24th, Christmas Eve.
I remember,
I was
yeah.
the only single person in the fucking
People are-
mall.
people are
Dudes with
heckling
face
them.
tattoos,
Really?
fucking
Oh,
monsters,
God. Yeah,
getting
heckling
heckled.
Let me tell you,
because everyone's a pussy, dude.
it happens-
they conformed overnight.
if it happens again, they'll conform again.
Yes, they will.
I don't know
We're
about
put-
that.
Yes,
A lot
they
of
will.
people
Mike,
said no.
Mike, they
Say
will.
again?
A lot of people said, like, even
None
with
of
the
us.
shut
None
down.
of
Say
us here
whatever they
got it.
want.
None of us here got it.
No, they might
but
not get the vaccine, but they'll
They'll
go on, Mike.
they'll put the mask on. They'll go back to the gang shaming
Yes.
and the faux morality.
Everyone's all you have to do is scare
I
someone
don't-
that they're going to lose their job and they're going to do whatever the fuck you tell them. That is a fact.
I don't know if we've learned.
That is a fact.
The lesson we should have learned from this as
No,
a
we
society.
did not.
I don't.
They
James,
did.
You disagree?
Continue, and I'll tell you if I disagree. on
I
that.
don't think that we've learned the lesson we should have learned. I think that we're still going to be dependent on authority to tell us what to do. I think that there are still going to be a large percentage of the population who by now we should have lost all respect for. Who by now we should, like, these people who have so much to say. Like we were talking about Chrissy Marr, right? We were Mayor. I'm sorry. We were with Chrissy Mayer, and that table full of the trans activists walked out. Everybody in that room, instead of being like, oh my God, what's going on right now? Everybody in that room should have been like, shut the fuck up and get out. This isn't your home. You're in a public space. Learn how to act like a fucking adult. Shut your mouth or leave. But that small group dominates everybody. All of the good people, the quote unquote good
So
people.
what's a lesson that you were saying should have been learned? That
The
you
lesson
don't
we
think
all
has
should
been?
the lesson we all should have learned is that all of us need to speak up and we need to match their energy. They have no problem telling us how to live our life, but we somehow have a problem telling them.
It's
You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you what it is that you'll relate to as a fighter. And this is why you see me get heated. And Mike, you know, I walked away from a $5 million company where I was making $700,000, $600,000 a year. Just left because
And at the time, I told him it was nuts,
and he
but
told me
I
was
get it
nuts.
now.
And he
Like,
said,
why
would
but-
you do this? And the reason I did it, and you'll understand this, I found out that one of my investors who came in was a hedge fund guy, and George Soros was an investor in his hedge fund. So I found out by the transitive property, George Soros was now invested in my company. And I told him, I'm not going to be involved in this. I need you out. He said no, so I left. And I walked away. It's sacrifice. How does Mickey Gall get where he is? Sacrifice. You had to sacrifice your life. You had to sacrifice building a resume. You had to sacrifice all these other things that may have helped you when you're 40, 50 and can't walk anymore.
Right.
But you did it to accomplish something great and to be the best version of yourself, right? No one is willing to fucking sacrifice. If you take someone's cell phone, they're
I agree
conformed.
with you.
Yeah,
I think
They will not sacrifice their jobs. They won't sacrifice their technology. They won't fucking do it, dude.
I think people are a little too comfortable.
Yes.
It's too comfortable. You got your fucking Netflix. You got your fucking Uber Eats. You know what I mean? People are like, all right, I don't. You know what I mean? They don't.
Yeah.
They're. I don't think it's uncomfortable enough.
Yeah.
I think
And
they
we're
just
doing it.
made it a little less comfortable. Took a little bit of your freedom away.
The
but
more
it's not
convenient, the more convenient you make it for people in society, the easier it is to control them. Look at us right now. We're four people, all of the same mindset, right?
You make
We
you make
all-
the prison comfortable enough.
We all are using a tracking device right now. Why are we using this?
'Cause
We
it's
know the
convenient.
government's tracking this. We know this is an iPhone. We know Steve Jobs is.
I
in
don't
the
care that the
cabal.
government knows I'm in the studio
Right, we know
here
that-
with two great friends. What up?
Yeah, you know. But guess
No,
what?
but I
Every
mean, you're
text
right, and they're
message we've
listening because
exchanged.
Amazon Alexa's
Everything-
listening at all times.
100%.
Everything is here.
The,
but we
the
use
thing
it
that
for
bothers
convenience.
me is the ads. Like I could talk about, say, something I never talk about. Watch adult diapers, and then I'll
No,
see
you
like
talk
on
about that a lot.
Facebook,
Stop it.
I'll start getting ads for it. It's fucking
When
crazy. I
you
tell
wa-
people that all the time.
When you 100% get that ad for adult diapers.
Yeah.
You make
Screenshot
sure you send
it.
it to us.
Adult
Yeah.
diapers.
I'll say it 5 times. I'll
Tommy
send it to you
needs
from
to
the
wear
car.
adult diapers.
Tommy like diapers.
Come on, I keep becoming a bitch
So,
in this.
I'm-
It will happen. Watch this.
But I'm going to disagree with your methodology there for a minute.
good.
I love
That's
it.
healthy.
Show
That's
now.
healthy. Yeah.
While I kind of I get your sentiment 100%, and I applaud you for having the balls to do it, dude. If they're going to give you the club to beat them with, take it. If they're going to pay you that much money, do what they would do. They wouldn't leave. What they would do is be subversive. They would take their money.
No, I got to stop
and
you
bring
there.
in
They
other
were
people.
trying to
There's an
castrate
important-
him and say you can't
yeah,
do
there's
that.
an important part I
or
left
you
out.
can't be employed by us.
So the important
there was
part
another
was
thing
he
there,
told
yeah.
me, because it was a sports, and I started the company, but he told me, because he's a big investor, that he didn't want me tweeting about George Soros anymore.
The big investor.
Yeah, so he started censoring me, at which point I said, I'm not
This is
going
like
to be
James
censored.
O'Keefe type of deal here.
Kind of, yeah. And the difference is, and I'm not trying to act like I'm a fucking superhero, but the bottom line is that was a lot of money for me. I grew up with nothing, you know that. Like, I'm not some fucking rich kid.
And I advised him as a friend.
And you
can't
told me
walk away
not
from
to.
this
But the
money.
bottom line is, if
But he
I'm-
would've had to stop
but
tweeting
Listen,
and-
here's the thing: if I'm going to go out there and preach to people that we have to stop censorship, fight against the government, do all the shit that we do,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna let myself be censored behind the scenes where no one fucking sees.
No, you
I
gotta
could've
walk
done-
your own path.
I gotta fucking walk that line, and I did it, and that's part of the reason why I think I got big over the summer. But no one's gonna fucking do that. You would do it. You would probably do it. You would probably do it. But
Are you keeping the money?
you wouldn't
I'll
fucking
talk
do it.
privately about the fucking.
Are you willing to
gay
sacrifice?
frogs.
And here's the thing: if you're not, shut the fuck up.
No, but I mean, it's
I don't want to hear you
respectful-
talk about
it's respectful that
censorship.
you
That's
did
like
that,
someone going
but-
up to Mickey and
Yeah,
challenging him a
nobody
fight.
should
And he's
be
going to kick their ass.
censored.
Shut
I
the
mean,
fuck up.
Yeah,
Just
everybody
don't
should
talk
have
about
the
it.
right to talk about what they want.
Because everyone wants clicks and likes, and you've seen it now. This whole movement started as us trying to make change and fix things and stop the cabal, and now it's just a bunch of clickbait whores who are going out there looking for clicks and likes and YouTube views, and they're cashing in on things.
That's at best if they're not fed plants.
Yeah,
You
or
know
they're
what I'm saying?
plants, or they're
Like
this dumb
Patriot
Ukraine
Front.
guy.
Patriot Front's totally not fed.
Yeah.
Those
You
are
and I
real.
are
yeah, of
at
course.
this point, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
With the
Wearing masks
Patriot
to
fronts and the
rallies.
plants and the
But-
gay frogs.
Anyway, the frogs are gay. That was my point.
Yeah. It's it's androgynous.
Even Pepe.
It's more like that. Hey, he knows Pepe.
Mike knows
Hey,
everything.
Mike's
right.
the king of the meme.
Yeah, I
The
know
king
a
of the
little bit
meme
about
war.
everything there, right?
2023.
So tell us about what you got going on in Colombia. Why Colombia? Why not the States? Why are you going international? And also want to talk about the gambling company. that you guys
Absolutely. So about Colombia, like I mentioned, Hector, who's my partner there, and Tommy's now involved with it, and a dear friend of mine, Joel. It's an opportunity for what I saw with the talent level of fighters there. They need to be more spotlighted. They need to have more of a promotion to get to the UFC. And I also, from a business sense, feel like when the Dagestani invasion came in, it obviously made good business. They're dominating the MMA landscape. And I think that these athletes down there, they don't have the resource to get to the next level. Like, for instance, the dollar is so weak there that we have some athletes that are very marketable, but they have to work 2 jobs and they can't train. So I want to also, as part of the promotion, or I should say we, not I, want to help develop the fighters and, get sponsors to come in and pay them to train and go on their dream journey to the UFC so they don't have to work 2 jobs.
It's
And I
not
believe their
all
talent
bad.
will get better.
Colombia's not all bad though, because they did just elect a communist president, so making weight's not going to be an issue.
There's no commission.
And
I
there's
mean,
a
no
lot of hot
technical legal
webcam
commission.
girls that I am going to find out there. My chatterbait girls. are gonna be
Bait
out there.
dog, you're going to go down there.
If Mickey and Mike don't
the
send me
bait
out front to
dog.
get shot first.
The bait
A lot of
dog.
talent down there, though, that needs to get a spotlight on it.
For sure. So you're going down to Colombia. They got some fighters down there. Mick, you're going to be he's going to be your Daniel Cormier.
Yeah, I mean, there's be multi roles, but he is a credentialed fighter who's in there asking the right questions, teaching them, say off camera, but commentating also, or being in the ring like a Joe Rogan and interviewing after the fight. We haven't defined it, but we know Mickey will be part of it, and I think Mickey's built for that.
Big
Very
time. Smart
well
move, yeah.
spoken, and that's the tough part about being the UFC athlete, right? Like, you don't have health insurance right now, or you don't have different types of things, and you have to forge your career in addition to that, unless you are going to get the Conor, McGregor money at some point. It's inevitable, and I think you're built for that too. And I want to help him with that.
And how does the gaming company fit into what you guys are looking to do?
Gambling.
Yeah,
Handicapping.
yeah.
Handicap.
Well, Tommy and I were friends first, and then when all that went down and the COVID era, and then Tommy separated from his past company, we formed a company together. And I thought, from my history working with fighters, social media, e-commerce, I would be able to add more value to an e-commerce company that lives online. And Tommy's had past success doing it, and he's truly great at what he does. Spends all the hours, and like we joke a lot, but he is in our Discord, literally 24/7. Researching, posting, giving information. So we're information providers.
I love
for the
this guy. You
consumer.
kidding me? He's like a Ginzo Portnoy.
Well, he
Speaking of
knows Portnoy and worked on Barstool. He had a podcast with Barstool.
Is that right?
Yeah. But we came together, and I brought the MMA aspect. So I became an MMA handicapper. I do all the research. I write up all the written material and give the picks and predictions, and then also bring on guys like Mickey to also lend their input on it. And we have best in class for every major sport and then sub-sports, soccer, tennis, everything, esports. And then that's our community.
I'm
right
excited, and this. Listen, I'm not heavily involved in it. This is Mike, Mickey, the big guys. I'm just getting involved to do some stuff with social media. I basically want to run the VIP and get hot chicks think I'm important. That's
Solid.
it.
You know what? Put it out there in the
you and
universe.
me, if you want to be in the G&G
I'm in.
marketing
The gift
company,
of
let's
gab,
go.
baby.
All right.
Let's do it. Yeah.
But I love
you
what
girls
they're-
need another drink?
He did it great at Summit Hard Rock, and we had a fight.
Made friends with fucking
Yeah,
Jay Crowder.
Jay
It was
Crowder
awesome.
was there.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do. But no, what they're doing out there is awesome because I think that's, and when Mickey comes back, he could probably talk on it. I think that's kind
That's
of gone.
you're breaking kayfabe, man. What do you mean? Mickey's right here. He's standing here the whole time.
They
I don't
came
know.
back.
All right,
Listen,
listen,
listen. I
it's
don't know
all a
what these
test.
cameras
It's all
are.
a test.
It's all a test.
But no, the one thing I was saying that I like what you guys are doing is because we talked about, with Mick, who's
Well, let's
literally
prove that
standing
he's here.
right
So
here
say
in front of me
something.
on this
Oh,
fucking-
we know he was
I'm
joking.
sorry, I'm
Yeah.
just so well hydrated. You know what I mean?
No, what I was
Just-
saying, Mick, with the Columbia thing is that because of these kids learning this stuff so early, like you don't really, and because of all the different fight leagues and everything that's going on, I don't think you really need, like when you were younger, to go find the fighters, right? They go into the Tough House, they go into Bellator, PFL, they get started really young. Do you guys think people have gotten away from going to these countries and hunting down these kids who live in a $300 a month and can't survive and will never? I think that's missing, and that's what I love about this, that we're going into an area.
I see it as an
talent, which I
exploding
think is
talent
lost.
area. Yeah, I mean, and what made that happen is that there weren't many promoters, say, putting on enough fights for the kids to get a spotlight, or there hasn't been that prominent athlete or manager that mined that area. And, when you get one, who else is in the gym? And then
But you used to
get two,
have to back
and
then,
you get
right?
three.
You're a baseball player. Like,
Yeah.
you're going into different countries and finding talent. Now the talent kind of finds you, I think. So I kind of that's what I'm excited about it.
Yeah, very talented.
I think it's interesting. So you guys, are you partnered with any casinos in particular? Or is this something?
Down in Colombia, the casinos don't have hotels, and it's different down there. No, so we did. There's venues, there's large areas, there's nightclub settings. I mean, there's all different things. Our last venue was a small, intimate, 1,000-seat venue. But the goal, even with that, is you want to own the content, which is the king, right? So now you see other players, in addition to Fight Pass and ESPN, they have Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, or even look what the NFL rights.
Yeah.
They're going to be off of DirecTV for the first time in 20 years, and it went to a streaming platform. And that's the key, is to get that content, and that's very marketable. If I can say I have a fight league in Colombia with all these top upcoming talents, you put the human element in it with the backstory, like you were talking about, you sell that to Amazon. You can go exclusively to Amazon to watch Empire MMA. We did our first show in Bogota, and then this one's in Medellin. And that's fun, right, to your point. And similar to a team concept, but it's a league concept. You fight for Empire MMA, you could be on Amazon or Netflix, Hulu. So that's the ultimate goal, is to take that distribution and sell it there.
Sounds like there's going to be a lot of people speaking English that are going to be around at the.
Well, we
at
did
the
an
fight.
English broadcast and a Spanish broadcast.
Maybe, I don't know, the VIP needs a comedian afterwards.
100%. Yeah, you're in. You're in.
I don't know. It seems like a good value add
Let's
proposition.
do it.
I don't. Yeah.
Listen, anywhere I go, you're coming. So
My man, I like it. I like the
So,
double entendre.
Mike,
there.
you gotta pause. You got any fun old school stories we talked about the other day? Anything you wanna?
There's a
you
lot
wanna
of
hit?
fun old school
You got-
stories,
you-
but which direction?
Anything that comes to mind? You were talking about the other day that you had a couple you wanted to share.
Well, again, it's a wide-ranging topic, but
I feel like he's got one in mind.
yeah, I do too. I'm trying to think. We talked about it a lot the other day.
No, you said you had a couple that you were gonna you planned for Rogan. But I figured
God,
you give the slick and
Rogan.
thick.
No, it was just
thick,
it was more so along the lines of what it takes.
Oh, this is
and-
bullshit. You're having second thoughts. You told me. I see this politician right here.
told you about
He
the
had a
pivot
great
earlier.
idea for Rogan. Now he's like, I should probably wait for Rogan.
told
Let
you
me
about
go
the
to-
pivot earlier.
Well,
He's-
there's certain
He's stalling. He's stalling.
not so
told you
no.
earlier.
It's a
1 point for stalling.
it's a wide ranging question, and we talked about a lot. So I also want to be accurate of what he's talking about, but nothing comes to mind as far as.
I heard you got into a fist fight with Khabib's dad.
No, he'd kill me. No, I did not.
Speaking of dads, your dad's the best. You know Big Vin.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Big
Papa
Vin.
Vin.
I keep telling
Papa
Mike,
Vin's the man,
if you
yeah.
guys do the Mike and Mick podcast or whatever you're going to call it, that's going to be second to ours because we're going to be better. You should bring Vin on. Big Vin's the best.
I know what you're
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about
for
now.
sure.
Okay, no, you threw me for a loop for a second. But what I did say and why I said that on there is because obviously the platform size of why I would want to speak about that. But that's what it was. There's a lot of misconceptions. So when you're a fighter, and it gets back to what you were saying also about the ticket selling and how do you make people do it. There is a lot of misconceptions. There's not many soundboards for the opposition, right? And they're like, people would think, well, he does that because of this, and they have the sounding board to say it. And I've even heard Rogan say like, oh, that's bad or that's terrible, but they don't know the facts behind it. And one of them is, say, the ticket selling model. When you say, why would or how do you develop? So a local promoter, you want to have a kid like Mickey who's going to sell 300 tickets because he's good looking, the most popular guy, and all his friends and family are going to come. You want to put him on that fight card. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that reminds me of a June 8th at the Stress Factory. We're doing a live podcast.
That's right.
June 8th
Yeah, you guys
at the
gotta come.
Stress Factory. It'll be a lot of fun.
Listen,
We're
I
there.
like- that was-
June
that
8th. That was the
was
original date in my deal.
masterful. That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Well, it's back to that point of there is reasons for it. So like the company that I was with is Cage Fury. When I became a partner in 2014, again, it's part of that business sense is that me and my partner at the time were talking about what's called the ticket guarantee, where if you want to fight on the card, okay, we're going to offer you, X and X, 1,000 and 1,000, whatever is relative to the market for that fighter. And they're like, well, I think I'm worth 2,500 and 2,500. Well, why are you worth that? Oh, because I'm the best fighter. But unfortunately, in that formula that you were saying earlier, that doesn't make the promotion more money.
The other guy's
so
drawing
you have
1,000
to
people.
explain why.
Yeah.
If you want 2,500, if you guarantee 100 tickets,
You're describing-
you can get paid for that.
You're
you know?
describing the comedy community. So
Okay.
there's this thing called a bringer in comedy, and it's looked
Okay.
really down on. Like, oh, he's a bringer comic, meaning he gets
Brings a
up
crowd.
because he brings 10 people,
Right.
and that's seen as a bad thing. But then you get to be a headliner, and you get to go around the country, and all they care about is a door deal. Like, hey, here's the deal: you get 75% of every ticket you bring in. There's no, and people get really mad. They're like, oh, I'm a great comic. I've been doing this for 10 years. Yeah, well, Mick Foley just sold 2,000 tickets
Right,
over
yeah.
the weekend.
And-
So Mick
and that's
Foley's
what
going to
happens.
headline.
But nobody answers the question. Like the public sometimes can hear the negative to it, but it's an educated answer as to why. And it's not to hurt the fighters. If anything, you want to provide a better platform to them to be seen. So in order for me as a promoter to get a great venue that's going to want me to pay X, I have to make X amount of money. I mean, most of these local promoters, they lose money. And a lot of them are involved for the passion of the sport or whatnot. And it's very hard to understand if you're not in that world what it takes to get the job done. Or let me add on one more thing. And it happened to us a lot of times, right? With Aljo or another fighter, you got a guy who's like, you're a champion. He sells 400 tickets, 300 tickets. People book all the rooms at the Borgata. We did shows at the Borgata for 6 years here in New Jersey. Books all the rooms, sells all the tickets, and then the UFC calls. Somebody gets hurt, and they're like, oh, congrats, you're going to make it to the UFC. And the manager calls and be like, hey, got great news. Aljo made it to the UFC, or another fighter. And you're like, oh, you let them go because you're happy for them. That's their dream. But then you as the promoter, you're left holding the bag. Then 400 people now don't want to come to your fight, and they're refunding tickets. So it was an unfair formula where you're putting so much into the fighter, and then you want them to succeed to the next level,
Yeah.
and then you're screwed and you lose money.
So in baseball, a guy gets called up to the big leagues. The big league club pays the minor league club
Yes.
for the
Right,
rights.
exactly.
They pay like a
And
$500
that
or
doesn't happen
1,000
here.
or something. Interesting.
And it should. And I think it's fair because I've been on all ends of that spectrum. And I do think it would be fair if you have a fighter under contract and you willfully release him to the big fish. I believe they should give you some
How
sort
about
of
something
competition.
for the effort?
Anything.
you
But
know?
anything. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's
no,
business.
absolutely. Because at the end of the day, without that promotion, without you doing that, they don't have the fighters, the pool of fighters to pull from.
Yeah, that's true.
Dude,
And
I
now
think it kind of
that's
could be
what
good for
changed.
everyone because then let's say that person is just a big ticket seller doesn't have the if they can't back up the fucking ticket sales with their fight skills, then someone else is gonna come in and the cream's gonna rise to the top. Right. Someone goes in and beats their ass. Now they just got put on too.
Yeah, off your
You know what
name.
I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Do you think that it should be like a WWE NXT thing? Do you think the UFC should kind of affiliate 5 or 6 of these regional promotions under the UFC and have this agreement?
Well,
Is
they
it-
did it indirectly, which was brilliant, by doing Dana White's Contender Series, where he became the local promotion. He flew everybody in, and again, it comes down to the time and money. But the thing with the UFC is funny too. People shit sometimes on the UFC, like their fighter pay and blank blank. But what they don't realize from a business model, the UFC technically doesn't have to even pay him anything, because like at the time you're an up and comer, you're not in the UFC, you're say like 4-0, 5-0, and I have an opportunity to get you a UFC fight. You would probably fight for free to be in the UFC.
That's why we don't have a fucking
and I would
fighters
pay
union.
to get him in.
Yeah.
Like if they called and said, "Hey, well, put Mickey in, get 10,000,"
real
I get
fighters would do
sponsors
that
to
shit
pay
for free,
10,000.
probably,
So
every
it's
time.
supply and demand, where they don't have to do certain things, and people shit on them. But that's just the business model of, hey, if I can get a fighter for 12, or whatever it is, it's way better
Nah,
than they're
it's-
getting on the
it's-
regional scene.
That's for
You
sure
know?
true. And I want to touch on what you said before. Real fighters would do that for free.
Yeah.
To go get in there, and like you have that that warrior gene in you, that you want to go in there and step into the gladiator pit and get it on, and you would do it for free. There's people who pay to enter jiu-jitsu tournaments every week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to get something like that.
that's a
not
great
gonna,
point. That's a
not,
great point.
That's not even gonna.
and as
hit
a
you.
manager, I said I would pay. Like I'd pay the UFC
For
to put
sure.
Mickey in the UFC.
I
on
need
the
those
platform.
eyeballs. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good for you.
Yeah, that is interesting, but that's why the union.
but
would be
it
good.
gets-
Sometimes these
you're
guys
right.
got to be safe from.
And
I think
themselves.
they should
because
have a
people would
union,
people would scab, and like we just said, would go do it for free. But there gets to a certain point where you put a lot of time in. You're like, you know what? I'd like to get some fucking money for all this hard work and sacrifice I've put in. You know,
literal blood.
And there has been
Blood, sweat, and tears.
steps, right? There has
Yeah.
been small steps over time, but I think it's time to make big steps. I am an advocate of why wouldn't they have a fighters union? You know what I'm saying? Like every other sport, or
Totally.
electricians have. Everybody has. it.
Or you artificially put a market function in, like a team that really wants
That's what I was
athlete X, and then there's a bidding war
And-
for
and they
athlete
pay that.
X.
Well,
Look at
IFL
what-
back
look
at
at
the
what
time
Liv
paid a
Golf's doing.
salary for you to fight, and I think they were in talks of getting fighter insurance, but they didn't. But they're, it's like any other system.
Why'd
Some's
the
broken and
IFL,
some's good. you
Why'd
know?
the IFL go out?
I think it was just money at the time. I mean, they were paying so much money to fighters and the ticket revenue. I mean, there's only so much you could do on passion, right? Like, if
Sure.
you're losing money after money and your burn rate exceeds what your, cash storage is, and all your investors invested enough and it hasn't made it yet, there's always in a business where you're going to pull the plug.
So, Mike,
in my
let me
opinion,
ask-
that's what happened.
Let me just ask you just one thing about the IFL, because I 100% don't think that's what happened. And you are the expert, but there's a specific hard cost for running an event, right?
Yeah,
A hotel
yeah,
costs amount of money, the fighters, everything. That hard cost between 1994 and now has not drastically changed, right? It's more inflation, blah, blah, blah. But the difference is in 1994, there was no brand. The UFC wasn't even there. So
Yeah.
do you think if the IFL in 1994, instead of like Mick said, started in 2012?
Well, it wasn't.
Then it would've had the same-
It wasn't that far back. It was during the
It was
UFC
in the
times.
2000s.
But like,
Yeah, it was like
2005. When did the
2005,
UFC
7,
really
8.
take off? Like
When
2000?
Ultimate Fighter came out in 2005 was when it became more of a household name.
2006 to 2008.
Okay,
was
so let's say the
IFL.
IFL started after the UFC took off and got its run in that in 2015.
A couple people have tried, the team concept after, but to your point, not with the money behind it that
Sure.
the IFL did. Listen, it's not a bad idea, like I said, and the key is, in my opinion, you get these kids out of college that were wrestlers. You get a wrestling All-American and they win the Olympics. There's nowhere for them to go to keep wrestling.
Especially with NILs now.
Yeah.
NILs, forget
I
it.
think
Like,
it
you
could
could get a
happen.
freshman in
Right
college right now
Yeah.
and have them be promoting your brand for 4 years before you even opened. If you really want to go crazy. One more from a Mark that I'd love to see, and maybe in your promotion you guys can do this. Please, open scoring.
Oh
Please.
my God, it has.
I wanna hear your
It has
thought
to.
on
So
that.
has-
Please.
I think open scoring.
How does it not?
I think open scoring should be the case. It should be the standard. If you're going into the third round, you know what I mean. I think
You
it would
should
also
know.
make shit exciting.
That's
if
the
I
drama.
know,
And I
if
wanna
I know
know.
I'm down going into the third, if I know I lost the first 2 rounds, I'm gonna be going crazy going for that knockout.
100%.
But if in my mind I think, I won those first 2 rounds, I think we wouldn't hear as much about people getting screwed by the
Yes.
judges as well, because you'd at least know what it is. It's
Yeah.
not a surprise at the end.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think open. I'm happy you brought that up. I
That
think open
has to-
scoring should be the way that it is. Just between the rounds, you should just know. We shouldn't be guessing.
So I'm a gambler. You're a fighter, right?
Yeah.
So you have someone who bets thousands of dollars on these fights, and you have someone who's in the fight. Name me another sport where the people playing the sport have no idea what the
Don't know
fucking
the
score
score.
is.
Yeah.
It is no sport.
Poker.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
If it's a sport.
in a hand, maybe, right?
it's a
But you
sport.
know what the score is when you look at the chips.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but I
Like,
understand.
you-
Like in tennis, yeah, you got an ace, you're winning 30,
So if
15.
the judge
yeah.
fucked up, and the judge, let's say Mickey's in a fight, and the judge
I like
fucks
open
up
scoring.
round
I
one.
wish they did do
Okay, at least he knows, like he said, he
Is
goes
that,
into
is that
round two
possible
knowing
for you
that.
guys to put into play?
It is, yeah.
And
Well,
why
down
isn't
there in
it?
Colombia, anything's possible, but it's also possible here. So the hard thing is, and Gerard, I don't even know if like you would know, fighting, right? And Tommy, you know it because I've said it in the past. The thing that's confusing for these guys, if Mickey fights in New Jersey versus Texas versus California, there's different rules. You know, a downed opponent. If your hand's on the mat, you can knee in the face here, but you can't there. You know, so the
And it is also kind of different criteria. Whereas, like, if you're fighting in Jersey or Pennsylvania, it might be more wrestling based. Or if you're fighting in Nevada, it might be more
yeah, they want more
striking
damage.
based.
Yeah, there's a ABC rules, and then there's some commissions that are standalone. But all it takes for open scoring is one commission. It doesn't even have to be nationwide. It's one commission to believe that would be a good idea and try it. And New Jersey's very aggressive. Like we've done some things here in New Jersey, and Nick Lembo, who said about the Vaseline, we were laughing. Even when we had the Cage Fury here in New Jersey, we tried to improve judging, and we had 3 judges in the back without the commentating and not ringside, and had them score the fights. And then he did a study where he compared those scores with no influence of the crowd, and they had sound canceling headphones on. And
Very different.
He took that step, yes. But the fact is, they took that step, and it's going to take a commission to say, let's try open scoring and actually do it.
Especially with gambling becoming like the primary driver of revenue for these sports, you can't have the poison pill, if you will, of the idea like, dude, this is fixed. Especially if you're going to do it in a foreign country. There's like, oh, the fix is in. There's no way. Like, if it's open scoring,
Like
plus,
Teddy Atlas has been saying about boxing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like plenty of people have been saying.
But the I mean the Pacquiao when he lost in Australia, it's like there's no way Pacquiao lost that fight. I forgot Joe Horn, I think it was. It was
So
like,
many
there's no
battles.
way.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
But the
Straight up
there's
corruption.
also straight up corruption. But there's also from an entertainment standpoint. I'm putting my producer director hat on now. Every time there's a round now is an opportunity for an outburst. It's more drama.
I agree.
A guy thinks he wins the round, and instead of him focusing on his opponent or listening to his coach, he's like, what the fuck? I won that fucking... And now the commentator will be like, oh, you better get back in. And it's more drama. It's more interest. It's more intrigue.
And the UFC wants more knockouts.
Well, the
so you
UFC
know
can
that.
do it technically. They can weigh their weight enough where they say we're only going to come to your commission and fight in New Jersey if you do this. But here's something else. And here in New Jersey, we also did and tried this. We had 5-round title fights where it was a 4-round fight, and if it was 2-2 after the
fifth.
4th round, it was a 5th round. So everybody in the
Like a sudden
arena
death.
did know
Yeah.
that winner of the 5th round wins it all.
Pride used to do that?
No,
or
we
something?
did it here in
You
New
guys did,
Jersey
really?
actually, but
No, it also would be a good one, I think. So in like the UFC, your starter contract will be like 10,000 and 10,000, right? So that means you get 10,000 to make weight, show up, and then you get 10,000 if you win.
Right.
So I think it should be guaranteed contracts. First of all, if I'm fighting someone right outside in the street here, I'm going to be trying to win just as bad as I'm be trying to
Right,
win
yeah.
in there.
You're not-
No one's
you're
trying
not-
to get their fucking
yeah.
ass kicked. But if you know when you know that your livelihood is based on winning, that can lead to boring fights. Someone kind
Right.
of
Yeah,
taking someone down,
100%.
Yeah, I
wrestle
agree with that.
fucking. I'm just going to be in a good position and
Just
I'm
wanna
going
get
to
the
walk
W.
away with a win. But if people are like, "Hey, my money's guaranteed. Let's fucking rock out and I want to put on a show." That's where I think they'll see better things. But I think, and you know, as as a promoter, I think that's to save the promotion. They're paying every other guy half their money.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no, because it could be equative that instead of giving a person 5 and 5, you give 10 total. You know, it's the same amount, but it would be reduced to cover
You'd be
the cost.
split in the
Yeah,
middle,
but
right?
it could
It'd
be
be like
75.
everybody gets
75,
7, yeah.
But I'm saying it could be done. To your point, and I agree with Mickey too, because here's the other thing. If I get a call, let's say Mickey's my fighter right now, and you're Dana White, and you call him back, Mike, got a great opportunity. We have Mickey's going to fight Khabib, and Khabib gets to bring a sword, a knife, and a machine gun. Thanks, and he's going to fight, and it's going to be a hard thing to beat Khabib without anything, let alone all those things, and now my kid's going to get half the money. Like, so some fighters will say, I don't want to take the fight, or even worse, there's fighters that'll take the fight and then pull out. So their honor is restored. And now whether they really got injured or not, sometimes you don't know with certain injuries. But at the end of the day, it would eliminate all that for the guaranteed purses. I'm an advocate.
See,
of that.
it's
I want
actually
the
it's
guaranteed
actually
purses,
worse
yeah.
with the non-guaranteed purse because there was just an instance of a guy we know who was injured, and he went into the fight because he doesn't get paid if he's not
Yeah,
fighting.
if you don't fight, you don't
So
get paid.
he goes in there with, I mean, it was national news. We're not talking like this isn't like, oh, a guy we know. This was national news. Guy thought it was going to be his last fight in the UFC anyway. Tore his shoulder out, and he goes, I just got to get this money. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get my ass kicked. And his trainer tells everybody, and they bet against him because he was hurt.
I bet against him.
Yeah, you know what I'm
I know what
talking
you're
about. But if the kid pulled out, he doesn't
get his money.
and he has to have the surgery and 6 months of no pay. I don't blame the kid.
It's flaws.
And that
There's
was
a lot of
recent,
flaws.
obviously, and that's what you're talking about, right? And it made all of us, when we found out that he was hurt, no, this was fixed. That's what we all said. So, like Mickey and everyone's saying, gamblers' tendency is to run to fix, right? People don't like losing
short
money.
thing, baby.
Right. It's like, listen, if I lose, it wasn't my fault. It was rigged, right? So the more opportunities you give for gamblers to say rigged.
Congress doesn't pick losing stocks.
Just follow the Pelosi portfolio on Twitter. Yeah.
If Pelosi bets on a fighter, you bet on that fighter.
And the open scoring fixes that.
Oh,
Because now I don't think it's rigged
All right, so
anymore. 'Cause now
I
at
got a
least he
question.
knows.
I agree with a lot of these things that we're speaking about, and honestly, you know what it would take to make it even happen, because they've tried multiple times for fighters unions using the
Who's
biggest
stopping
stars in the
it?
world.
It would take a guy who owns a fight promotion. I
No,
think.
it's going to take more. It's going to take more than that. No, but my point is to get dramatic change, right? Open scoring, guaranteed purses, health benefits, fighter union.
But if someone does
it's
that, I
not
don't
that
think-
nobody tried, guys. That's my point.
The
is
wrong people tried.
quite possibly
if-
because it didn't get done.
Mark-
But it's going to take
Or it's
people
the
to
right-
do it.
It's the right idea at the wrong time.
If Mark Cuban tried it, would it happen?
He did try it. He owned Access TV
Well,
and had
he
Access
was
Friday
retarded
Night
with that.
Fights.
I'm
but-
saying if he tried to our thing, with
yeah,
the
yeah, that's
fantasy
why I said
draft,
about
you know what I'm
ESPN
saying?
and HBO starting
saying
your
our thing now.
league concept. Of course it could
already in on
happen,
it.
but it would take a titan to do it. Like
Yeah, but that's the thing.
yeah,
And-
I'm with you.
Yeah,
You know?
I think it can be the fantasy
So let's
draft,
do it.
open scoring. Let's do
I
it.
don't know. I agree, but I also disagree. I think you can do it on the cheap. I mean, if you look at the backyard brawls and some of the stuff that
Portnoy's
gets
doing
millions,
Rough and
look at
Rowdy.
Rough and Rowdy.
Yeah, but we're talking about
Rough
the
and Rowdy.
UFC specifically.
No,
of
we're saying
I
test it with something
to,
smaller.
To the point, why did the XFL fail? Why did these? Because they went up against the big dog. I think it takes 20 years, man. I think the MLS, when they came back, they were like, we got to stop trying to compete with football. We just got to like small, big 20 soccer fans.
No,
go
but that's
40,
why we were
go 80.
feeder organizations who
Yeah.
released our fighters to the UFC because
Sure.
you can't compete with them.
I think-
you can't compete with the 800-pound
Yeah.
If
gorilla
you're
in
doing
the
that,
room. You
you
have
need
to
to
do those
take the
things.
UFC out. Dave fucking Portnoy, who you know, I know him well, and Big Cat. And they started Rough and Rowdy with no budget, nothing, a bunch of people beating the shit out of each other, and now they're running pay-per-views, and it's this huge big thing.
time. Look at Jake
they're
Paul.
not trying, but they're not trying. Jake Paul's trying to compete with the UFC.
No,
right?
I
Which
mean,
is
but I'm
great.
saying
Doing a phenomenal job
he's
of it.
his own promotion
We
and he's
don't
making
need
the
to
revenue.
compete
but
with
yeah.
the UFC. You just need to break ground smaller, and then have the UFC or someone like that either buy you or adjust their format and rules to that.
Just something to think about. That's all. Just
You're in.
to
We're in.
see,
We're in. We're
just to
already in.
see.
We're signing the contract
Guys,
out here.
I could talk to you guys for another 5 hours. This was incredible, man. We got to have them back, Mick, dude. You want to take them out? You got a question before we go?
Nah, the producer's gonna yell at us.
Producers
We've held the
been
room down.
yelling at
Yeah,
us.
we've been holding the room
Omri,
down.
you're gonna have to chop this one into something good and tell the people if they want to see the full thing, then they got to subscribe. Fuck them. This was an amazing episode. Guys, tell them where they can find you and where they can follow you.
Sure. Well, company-wise, I'll let Tommy get into that. But me personally, Instagram at MV Constantino and on Twitter at AMA Fight Club. And then our company, I'll let Tommy get into once he gives us personal handles.
Yeah, no, just at Tommy G Returns 2 on every social media. And the best way to do it, because we got a bunch of different outlets. I have a podcast, a No Mercy podcast, everywhere except Spotify because we're banned. But just check out the Stay Cashin' Show. Go to YouTube and then search Stay
I
Cashin'
just did
with
it on
Tommy G.
Friday.
Yeah, Mickey was just there. It
I'll
was
be
a
back
great-
on too.
Stay cashin'.
Man, we didn't even talk about all the fucking all the good old stories from AMA. We'll have to do it on the
We'll
next
do a
episode.
follow-up
follow-up
as,
on these
yeah.
times. Yeah. All right, shit.
All right.
Slick and thick, baby.
Appreciate you.
For
guys.
Gas Digital, the great Mickey Gall, I am Gerard Michaels. This has been Slick and Thick. We will see you on Monday. Peace.